Focus on Liberia. We discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Panelist.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. On Sunday, we interviewed 4 gentlemen who resigned from the Spoon Talk TV show or online TV show, and they cited their reasons for their resignation for internal disagreements. We have the gentlemen here, and since then, they've been making their media rounds. Tonight, we're going to do a post-interview analysis of that interview, and those we interviewed were 4 guys who resigned from Spoon Network in the midst of the indictment on the CEO of the network. With me to do this, I have my co-host, Mr. Anthony Moransier. Mr. Sier, welcome to this post-interview analysis.
Post-interview analysis, what a juicy way to get started here, Dennis. The gentleman we are talking about became so popular. The show that they serve our panel on has been a popular talk show host. A popular talk show in our community. And we all know that these guys were rubbing shoulders with powerful leaders in our country. They gained so much influence. So it is right for us to analyze the things that they said. They were holding the throats of political actors and trying to hold them accountable. So we want to look at the truthfulness of what they said, the meaning of what they said. And that is why we are here. Let us do this.
And also here with us is Telvina Cole. Telvina also is with our FOL Marketplace team, and she's here so that we analyze. At one point, Telvina also briefly had a brief stunt with the Spoon family. Telvina, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. Glad to be here.
I also want to welcome the unquestionable independent Robert Glegbe Gagwa Jr. Robert, he talks everything from soccer to politics and everything in between. He's here also to analyze the interview. Robert, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I also want to welcome Alfred Johnson. He's a law enforcement practitioner. And Alfred also has a stake on the interview and has a law enforcement. He's going to bring a different perspective. Mr. Johnson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis, and thanks to everyone for the opportunity.
I'm glad to also welcome Ms. Mansa Dopo. Mansa is an aspirant for the House of Representatives from the Claratown area. She's also the author of few children books. Mansa, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks for having me on the show again.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. I know and we want to welcome our viewers. Please join, share the show. We're having some issues with Facebook, so share the show with your network and let us. During the interview, we have about 86 persons in the queue to talk. So there are people had a lot of opinions about what's going on, the interview, and what has happened. And so we thought it wise to do this post-interview analysis so that people, and we also want to welcome people that are not on the show. You can call in, you can make your comments, and let's do this. Mr. Sia, this is where I want us to start. I know all our 4 panelists watched the show, so I wanted to begin from the point of getting their impression from the show. I know you watch it. What was the major takeaway? What were some of the highs and the lows, some of the things that you didn't like about the interview, some of the things that you like? If you feel, and even if you want to extend it to us, because I got some feedback that said, Dennis, you should have asked this question, or you should have gone this place, or you're doing an excellent job. So briefly, I know there are many things that you observe on the show, but let's be very brief. You can say one or two and why, and we can get this started. Let me start with Mas.
Okay, Dennis, thanks for having me again on the show. I personally think it was a beautiful interview. You and Anthony did an amazing job, and but I had issues. I had a couple of issues with the way, like the manner in which you guys asked the question. I mean, has to do with a lot has to do with the four guys. You know, Ben. I know we're gonna come to that, but I felt like Ben kind of overshadowed the entire conversation. It was supposed to be more like he giving his, speaking from his individual perspective, his relationship with Spoon, like what occurred. But he was always like, and don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Ben. He's my personal friend. We don't do a lot on social media, but he's one person. Every time he sees me, even if I don't see him, Ben gonna come to me, hug me, like unknowingly. I gotta lift my hair like this before I even recognize him to hug him back. So I have nothing personal against him. We are friends. But I felt like he overshadowed the entire conversation. At some point in time, questions that were directed at other panelists, he just like, just jump in and stuff like that. But I don't know, maybe that's how they plan their whole stuff before coming to you guys. So I stand to be corrected, but I felt like, other the other guys did not have enough time to really explain what happens and to really, give us an in-depth understanding of what occurred. But other than that, you guys did a good job. Initially, I was getting upset, not like upset, but I felt like Dennis was, he was not giving them the opportunity to explain, like to explain in that as well. You always just interrupting them. And I even commented on the live screen that allow the guys to talk and stuff like that. And I was one of those also in the queue, I started busting your phone, Denise, because I really wanted to talk. I wanted to ask questions. You kept sending me all these messages. Masa, I can't answer. So, but I'm glad to be on the show and be able to give my unsolicited opinion tonight. And hopefully, we can all just laugh about it because it's really not that serious when you just look at it. I think it's just fun.
Thank you. Mr. Gagwa, what's your takeaway from the interview?
Well, first and foremost, I would like to say thanks for again being on. I'm no stranger to FOL. Thanks to for the invitation always, and it's great to be on with my sis Tavi. I haven't spoken to Masa in a long time, but it's good to be on with her. I think this is the first time I'm sharing a platform with her, and obviously my good friend Alfred Johnson is no stranger. I'm a bit taken aback that he's on the platform. I did not prepare to respond to him today, but I look forward to the challenge. I read his analysis earlier.
We're going to go to analysis in the details, but I just want to.
But I thought first I would like to give Focus on Liberia the credit. I think that I've said consistently that this is one of the most consistent and independent platforms. You guys have always been neutral. You've always given everyone the opportunity to say their side of the story. And I thought that if anyone deserved such an interview, I think that Focus on Liberia did. And I was just so excited to see you guys get the shine that you deserve. I watched those numbers go up 100 in less than 30 seconds to 400, 500 to 1.4. At some point in the middle of the interview, I caught myself actually screenshotting that. And then in less than an hour, the comment section was into 3.4, 3.5 comments. And these were actual numbers. These were real numbers because you guys have never been about the numbers. It's never been about the views for you guys. It's always been about how do we get the information out there? How do we create a platform where everyone, irrespective of his or her political affiliation, can have his or her soul say on the platform? And I thought that you did that. I thought the guys did a great job. I thought that they kind of held back a bit. There were more that I believe should have been said, and I think Amasa mentioned Ben and others. I thought that they held back a lot, and I was in the comment actually saying, "Look, guys, don't hold back. Talk to us. Tell us what happened." But overall, I thought it was a great show. Look, at the end of the day, I like to say this is politics, right? There are information that people would not just be so blunt about out there. And in their explanation, you could see that they fought so hard to not be as raw, to say as it is. There are lots of things that happen behind closed doors. Lots of information still out there. Lots of question, but I thought that they moved the needle. I thought they were able to come and just answer some questions with regards to the initial press release. When people were questioning what are those internal differences, right? They could have just went all out with it, right? But I don't think those guys actually planned on talking. It was something that moved them to talk, and I think that they did a phenomenal job actually telling that side of the story. So I look forward to discussing and actually dissecting the interview.
Thank you. Sergeant Johnson.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Thanks to everyone. Actually, this is my very first time appearing on Focus on Liberia with this many panelists. Usually I appear on my own, but we'll try to navigate it as best as we can. Thank to CA, thank to Telvina, right? See Telvina, Masa, of course, my good friend, Robert Gajwa. Thanks for the opportunity to share this platform with you. I think the interview was very revealing. It said a lot about the spoonful as opposed to say about Mr. Witherspoon. Let me be very clear here. I don't know Mr. Witherspoon personally, but my assessment of this situation is based on what has been said, the indictment based on what the spoonful said as it relates to the reason for which they are departing the show and all the things that have transpired since the indictment and since their eventual departure from the show. I don't know Mr. Witherspoon personally. I've never appeared on the show. I had one invitation to speak on a law enforcement issue, but due to my schedule, I could not make it. So I just want to put that disclaimer out. But I do look forward to the opportunity. I think the interview was revealing, and you guys did an excellent job to wrap a couple of issues out, to make a couple of headlines. And I do agree with Massa to some extent that the interview, I think Ben was the center of the focus as far as answering the questions, but that's understandable because I think from all indications, you can see that he's the leader of the pack. And so the questions will be directed at him, or he will have much more insight in terms of answering the questions. But again, I appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to sharing my opinion in a very respectful manner.
Thank you. Tavi?
Good afternoon, everyone, again. Can you guys hear me?
Sure.
Yes, we can.
So let me echo what Robert said. And it's not because we have FOL tonight, but I think FOL put a good show again. I've been around on several platforms. I think Dennis has went to even School TV and other platforms, and I've seen not only sitting in a platform, just see the structure, the line of questioning, the planning process, the implementation, the monitoring, and it's sucks all around. And FOL, I can see it in the presence, I can see it behind the back, not only for this show, but other shows, how they prepare, they set the level of professionalism, how they deliver and all of that. So all around was a great interview. Now coming to the interview, we're gonna go in depth later on, but on a high level, I would say that some things could have been avoided. This whole thing of explaining all over the place could have been avoided. And we're going to the crux of it. So that's my first takeaway for all of that. All this explaining all over could have been avoided on both sides. But for some of the likes that I, from the show, I like that the guys were able to come out to tell their story, to tell their truth. For all it's worth, that's their truth for now. Until Tinto can say otherwise, that's their truth. Honestly, when I saw the poster, I thought they would have canceled. For that, first of all, I never even thought they would have accepted the invite because most of them I know and I talk to. So I thought they would have just played like they play other things, and I really thought that last minute they would have canceled for pressure on all ends or whatever it is. So for them to just come out and just explain to the public, I must get them credit for it. Other thing, the maturity they exemplify. I watched them on Coast Show, not live, or later on in preparation for this show. They're up to the 3 shows they did. They were not name calling. They were not, they were not being, rude or disrespectful. Matter of fact, regardless of what's going on, they always refer to Stanton as my brother, my friend, my family, So I admire them for that, for, just keeping it to the issue, so just maintaining that, because there's a lot going on both ends. Other thing, I applaud them for finally coming up to talk about, some people say, salary. I call it token, I call it honorable, because they were not hired anyway, but they were giving some sort of compensation. And for all it's worth, they come 7 days a week to talk. Who can pay anybody for the airtime? I've been on these platforms to prepare for these things. It takes time. You don't just not show up. You got to do research. But the fact that they couldn't address it all along, to be bold and say, you're not paying me for a service. So instead of giving me $1,000, I will take it.
You're right.
I want to say that, but they downplay it. They let it run for 2 years, and now everything's spill over, and now they want to explain, well, that's the time that they choose to. But I wish they had done it sooner than later. So I'll give them the credit for just speaking out on it. As far as dislike, I mean, Masa touched about Ben as well as Robert. I don't want to beat the dead horse here, but yes, Ben was overpowering. I felt like he was too dominant. I also felt that I was like, Ben, are you the team lead here? Police are here. You're not smarter than them. All of you got some, at least on a graduate degree or some extent, but regardless, all of you are smart guys. So you don't have to answer every question. You don't have to buttress every answer. That was just overpowering. So hopefully he takes some cues. Hopefully they're not still going around talking. We'll talk about that. But I hope he takes that feedback. Also, as far as dislike, what I dislike is the early formation of we about to form our own platform. It's going to be big and blah, blah, blah. We'll come to that. But so that's one of my dislike about that. So I think those are the on a high level, those are the likes and dislikes for me. And we'll go into the depth for it later on. So thank you.
Thank you, Tabina. I mean, I don't know what's about you and Masa that, but that whole thing about salary, it got me in trouble because my guys came to me, Anthony, everybody said they want their back pay because of their other friends are getting phone.
I think they deserve that. They deserve that.
So they say, so you've been giving other people money and we didn't get some, so we want our back pay. So, but we'll talk about it behind closed doors. Mr. C.
Dennis, thank you. And I want to say thanks to the panelists, on their initial summation here. I will right now give you a little summary of what they said. And then after that, now we can go into discussion just so as to, put people in the know who may not have had the opportunity to watch the interview. They said Stanton is a very good and generous man with a good heart who donated to many causes. They were able to say that. And of course, they said they received $400 for about a year and a half.
No, every 2 weeks they receive $400.
Thank you. And they received that within a year and a half. They receive $400 every 2 weeks. That's what they receive within a period of 1 year and a half. They said that they show, they ran the show on a friendship basis, and nothing was structured. They said that the CEO was able to finance most of the trips that they made, and on most of the trips they got their compensation and all that. There were some of the trips they said they have to pre-finance, and the CEO reimbursed them. When it came to the issue of whether they suspected Stanton to have been anything suspicious, they said they didn't suspect anything because he had legitimate businesses that they knew he was running, so they didn't expect anything like that. And then they said that he was this guy who will use the divide and rule tactics, and they saw that, they noticed that, They also said that Stanton blocked and kicked them out I'm sure they met the chat room and they didn't have access. Maybe that's the StreamYard that they were using. And when we pressed them whether there was any conversation after the stopping start, because at some point the Stanton announced to them that the stopping would not be able to continue. He didn't give sufficient reason. So I asked them, well, did you think about how to raise money?
Well, he said that according to them, I'm not interrupting you. Sorry for that.
I think you are.
Yeah, according to them, he said that business was not going well for him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then I asked them whether or not they made any effort to see how they'll be able to raise money from the show. They said, well, Ben said they started something with one other, I think business in Liberia, but then it didn't materialize and they stopped. And then when it came to the rebranding issue, which was the main reason, according to that main reason for leaving, they wanted Stanton to step aside. Stanton refused, and they wanted to rebrand the show. Stanton also refused. Then Tammany specifically said that Stanton dismissed the news of being watched by the FBI, and even when you try to talk to him when the indictment came, he just shut it off. He said, "No, my man, I don't want to talk about it." And of course, they said they are open to opening their own platform and running it. Just little highlights, just to put in the know of those who may not have watched the interview. Dennis?
Yeah, thank you. So my question here now is, after, and if you didn't watch it, thank you for that brilliant summary. So in this whole thing, there are two major sides, right? One side support the move of these ex-panelists and say it was even belated. They should have left as soon as the indictment was slammed on Mr. Witherspoon. And the other side said the ex-panelists are betrayers and they are bad friends who are left as soon as who walked away when their friend needed them the most. And I think it came out on the show. So let me ask you, each one of you, really based on what you watched, where do you stand?
Well, I'll let the ladies go.
I'll let you go first, Robert.
Yeah, Robert, you can go.
Well, what was the question again, Dennis?
Well, based on the interview, they stated their side, and what they came to actually, why they wanted to tell their truth is because there are many things out there, some calling them betrayers, and some say, hey, you are right to go. In fact, you should have done this ever since, right? So based on that, let me get your feeling of what's your take, where you stand on that.
Look, I think that I stand 100% by my comments when I called in and I said that I thought that they showed courage and strength to have actually come on to clear the air. Look, in less than 24 hours after that press release went out on each of those pages, I think those guys got close to 700-800 comments on each of their personal pages, and I couldn't read all of it, but I remember vividly I was in my office looking through Ben post, and there were questions over questions. It was clear through the press release that they did not want to talk. It was also clear that they did not want to go into details. Some would say that they lied, and I would differ with that when they said, due to internal differences, we decided to do what we did. I think that's what professionals do. Look, there's no need to go into details. There's no need to disclose back conversations about what happened. That was not their intention, and I look forward to really debating this tonight with anyone who think that they lied in the press release or whatnot. I would like to see their argument with that. But internal differences could entail many things. Internal differences could entail some of what they mentioned. Internal differences could entail the fact that they got kicked out and there were many misleading information that came from the CEO themselves.
So Robert, I want you to get straight to it. And Masa would think I'm interrupting again, but that's what I do because I like to direct.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
So exactly. So based on what they say, hey, we're walking away. Do you see them as betrayers, or you think they did the right thing?
Absolutely not. I thought they did the right thing. And there's two reasons why I thought they did the right thing. One is, I want to be very clear. I want to be as explicit as I can tonight. They did not leave because of Stanton's ongoing federal case. That's one. This is a fact.
That's what it said.
Well, that's not what they said.
That's what it said.
Mansa, why are you interrupting?
No, that's good. No, that's good. I don't think that's what they said, because I want us to clarify tonight, because again, these are some of the misconceptions out there. They said that they left on the premise that they asked for Stanton to recuse himself, step aside. They were not asking him to turn the show over. They said, given the current circumstance, step aside. And throughout my young professional life, whenever you are under such an investigation, an allegation, the right thing to do so that you don't serve as a distraction, you step aside. He refused to step aside. That's one. Two, they requested a rebranding of the platform, whatever that entails. I think they went over some of that. He also objected to the rebranding, right? And so those were the reasons why he left. Anyone else who thinks that because grown men who made suggestion to a guy who they've used the word sole proprietor, and he says, God, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. They are within the right to resign. They are within the right to say, you know what? I cannot take this no more. I'm out. So I support them 100% for saying, look, I'm done with this. I'm out. I can't do this. One last point I want to make before I let the other guys come in.
Yeah, take 30 seconds, please.
This whole noise about betrayal here, I think Stanton betrayed everyone around him. I think he's the true betrayer, because as a professional, if you have all of what's going on and people think I'm crazy, if you don't have to tell people the truth around you, it's almost like a wife who tells everyone, my husband is very perfect. There has nothing going on. She will put her neck on the board for her husband. Comes to find out he has 4 babies by another woman out there, and everyone's finding out at the same time. What do you expect her to do? Who is the betrayer? Is it the woman for leaving, or is it the man who misinformed his wife? But that wasn't the reason why they left. But when people talk about betrayal, if anyone was the true betrayer, I think it's Stanton. He betrayed those guys and everyone else around him. In fact, he betrayed the entire nation.
Thank you. Let me hear from Mas.
Thanks, Dennis. Thanks, Robert. Thanks. That was a beautiful presentation. First of all, let me just say this. I personally do not know Stanton. I don't know him. I have never met him in person. I think when Spoon first started, I think, Tev, you can speak to this. We were the first group of females that appeared on his show when we were talking about domestic violence and abuse and rape and stuff like that. And I had my own personal feelings about him. I thought he was very rude. He was arrogant. He was self-centered. It was all about him. Even when we appeared on the show, at some point, I think the second interview, I did not even show up because we had a serious conversation on the phone where I got disconnected because I was trying to make my point, and he asked the guy in Liberia to disconnect me and stuff like that. But anyways, that was way back, and since then, I've not been a follower of the Spoon Network or the Spoon TV or their show or anything. But I have watched those 4 guys. I've watched them go from place, including Dr. Francine. They went from place to place with Water Spoon. They did a lot of humanitarian, as they say. They went to Liberia. And the reason why I even got so interested in their trip to Liberia, because when I took my professional friends from the state of Delaware here to visit Liberia in 2019, we actually went to Liberia we took an invitation to Liberia from our state rep, our state senator, Senator Coons, to hand deliver that invitation to President Weah. I've never talked about that before, but I will say it here today. Why I decided to already talk about this whole spoon thing. So when we took that invitation to Liberia, we were not given the opportunity to meet with President Weah because Senator Combs wanted us to hand deliver that invitation to President Weah. So we were not opportune to meet him, and I only had less than 10 days in Liberia. So once that did not happen, we came back. Some of my friends left there because they had 2 weeks. I actually had a week in Liberia, a week stay in Liberia, 7 days.
And Mars, if I may, did it tell you why you couldn't see the president at the time?
Here's the thing, because everything was arranged. I was not even it was Senator, what's his name? Representative Dixon Sibo. Sibo was heading that. Senator Sir Joseph was heading that. I was just there because I supported this government. So I was like, if I was my brother, I never even wanted to go. My brother last minute of time begged me. He said, your friends are coming in. This is their first time going to Liberia, to be honest. We had other foreign guests. He said, you cannot sit and just arrange everything and then they come here and you know how people operate in this country, especially the government, you know how they operate. So you have to come. So I had to purchase a ticket for 7 days to be in Liberia. So that's how I went to Liberia. The people were ahead of me. So when I got there, it was just like all going from place to place, like all the scheduled meetings that we had. So when we met with all the people they knew that were scheduled to meet with with President Weah to hand deliver a letter. But their bureaucracy and all those yama stuff, when they hear people, they feel so threatened and intimidated. So that didn't happen. I remember at some point in time, it was Bill. Bill had asked me to call Finda. He personally gave me Finda number to make a follow-up on that letter. Even what's his name? Sekou. Everybody tried for us to get president with that letter, but it happens that the president said, even Nathaniel McGill, like all of them, they never knew anything about it. It's like somebody took the letter and trashed it somewhere and stuff like that. But when I called Finna was very aggressive on the phone. I had the phone on speaker. My colleagues were in the car. And when she started to scream and stuff like that, so I just told her, I'm like, you know what? This is not a big deal. We got a letter from our state senator, Senator Coons. If we cannot see President Weah, it's not a big deal. So that's how we came back. So when we came back, I was part of a CDC chat room. So I went in our chat room. That's the high profile chat room.
Mars, you're going too far. Bring it home.
No, all right.
I'm
just telling you why I'm interested in this when the guys went to Liberia. So when I came from Liberia, when I came back, I commented in the chat room. Obviously, they reached out to me. The team came back to Delhi where the president sent a delegation over here, and they met with Senator Coons and other people. Anyway, period. So when Waterspoon took his team to Liberia, and I saw all of them having fun, enjoying. But then when I was in Liberia, Tommy George had accused me of sleeping with somebody, like sleeping with government officials and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, Tommy George, we had a serious fight on that. And then when he went to Liberia, I saw him with the same government official enjoying. So that what got me interested, and I started following the whole spoon thing. You understand what I'm saying? So just to tell you that I'm not a follower of Stanton. I don't know him or anything. But I felt like when I saw the four guys press release, I felt like they actually betrayed him. And I felt like they did not treat him like a friend. I am one of those who stay against Waterspoon for endangering the lives of innocent people, and as well as giving people fake degrees here and there, and I still stand by that. Every day I post about it, in fact. But as a friend, let me just tell you, no matter what, there are certain people I call my friend. when I say you my friend, no matter what, and that's what they actually show to us on social media, that they were already his friend. You know, they were all brothers. No matter what, I am not gonna put your dirty laundry outside. If I get issue with you, I don't care what a
Mas,
play.
if I may, for you to conclude on it, they said it was about disagreement they had.
Yeah, listen
now.
Listen.
Rebranding, he objected.
Yeah.
Mas, let me ask my question. We are doing the interview. We have the right to come in and ask you questions.
I understand. I just wanted to end my thought before.
All right, go ahead, Mas.
Okay. So I don't care how much differences they had. And first of all, the press release that they even put outside, we later got to know that it was very, very misleading. That was not what was discussed. There was no internal, yes, there was internal disagreement, but they were actually fired. They were fired. If you were part of an institution and they block you, and let me tell you, people don't have to give you a letter of resignation before you say you are resigned from this position. No, they can terminate your employment. It's at will anytime. You can even give you a phone call and your employment is terminated. So when you come into the public, make the public to be aware that Stanton has blocked us. We are no longer working with Spoon TV. But you can't tell me that it was, yes, it might be considered as an internal disagreement, but you were fired. You came out on this very platform, you said it. You said he blocked you from everywhere, and that's the reason why you decided to put out a press statement. And prior to that, a lot of them like terminate other people. They threatening other people who were still on the network. So tell me if that is not an act of betrayal, and if that is not an act of deceit and misinformation, even to us, the public.
Thank you. Yeah, Alfred, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis.
And I hope you remember the question, right?
Yeah, it speak of betrayal, right? The question is about betrayal.
Is it betrayal or they did the right thing?
As I stated in my piece earlier, within the grand so within the grand scheme of things, personally, I don't think it's a betrayal within the grand scheme of things. But from the perspective of Mr. Witherspoon's supporter, you can understand why they feel that he was betrayed, and here is why. So, based on Mr. Sanvi's and the other guys' admittance, there was discussion prior to the indictment. There was discussion on the direction of the Spoon Talk, where they want to go in terms of coverage, in terms of what they want to do, and all that. The editorial, they were trying to have some sort of input in the editorial decision as it relates to the show. Mr. Witherspoon rejected that, and he wanted a particular direction. They wanted a different direction. So when the indictment came up, part of their argument towards Mr. Witherspoon was that, number one, we would like for you to take a back seat. And that's understandable. In any serious environment, a person facing such an indictment or such a situation, to avoid tarnishing the image of the show and to respect other people who are involved with you, it's understandable that they requested him to take a back seat. The second request was to change the name of the show, to rebrand the show. Why I understand from whence they spoke, you have to understand that the relationship between the Spoonful and Mr. Witherspoon was more of a W-9 kind of relationship, where a contractor and somebody who's contracting them relationship, because they were being paid. Whether you want to believe it or not, the $400 every 2 weeks was considered paid. It was almost like a W-9 income. It was considered income. So he refused that. So because of the indictment, they brought that back up to say, hey, that's what we want to push this. And Mr. Sanvi himself said on the Costa show that he saw it an opportunity presented itself for them to bring back what Mr. Witherspoon was rejecting, because they felt that it was an opportunity for them. So in his time of weakness, they tried to present something that he initially rejected. And as somebody who's the sole proprietor of the network, he's the judge, jury, execution, and everything of his network. He had editorial control. And he said, no, that was not going to happen. And you can understand why people felt that it was a betrayal, because Why did you wait for him to be in some of the most difficult time of your life for you to try to take away this thing that he built for him? That's how they felt. Now, from my perspective, I don't think it's a betrayal. I understand that there were always opportunity in chaos. Let me address one thing Robert Gadwa said. Let's establish the fact that they did not leave because of the indictment. They left because of the disagreement they had with Mr. Witherspoon as it relates to the direction of the show and the rebranding effort. That's the first thing. Number two, Mr. Gadwa is saying that Mr. Witherspoon's refusal or lack of transparency to his friends as it relates to the alleged criminal act is the true betrayer, is in a way kind of elementary in terms of your perspective on issues. Now, from my criminal justice and my law enforcement background, there is something called the Fifth Amendment, the right against self-incrimination. That's something that's very critical. You don't expect, there's a difference between admitting to moral shortcomings and criminal shortcomings. I can come to somebody and say I'm morally fall short. Oh, I impregnated somebody's girlfriend. There will be no serious criminal backlash unless that person is underage or something like that. There will be no serious criminal backlash. There will be moral backlash, but there will be no criminal backlash within the context of impregnating somebody. However, Mr. Witherspoon's alleged involvement in criminal behavior is not something that he wants to tell his fellow panelists. And here is why. Number one, he has the Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. Number two, he gives them plausible deniability by not informing them, because now they can say with honesty that they did not know what Mr. Witherspoon was doing because he did not tell them about his criminal enterprise or his alleged criminal action. So for you to say that they should have told him is something that is scary. And also now, another thing is, by asking him to tell them, if he had told them, they had a responsibility now to report this. If they don't, they could be possibly hammered for accessory after the fact or conspiracy after the fact and things like that. So there is a criminal component to this whole thing that makes it difficult for me to accept Mr. Gadwa's assessment that Mr. Witherspoon's refusal or inability to tell the guys about his alleged criminal involvement is the true betrayal. That's not a betrayal. That's a form of protection for these guys. That's my perspective on that for now.
Thank you. Before I let you go, Robert, Tavina will talk and then you'll come.
Yeah, Robert go because Robert to an issue. You gotta get that report out.
And Alfred, so what is you understand why Stanton and others feel that he was betrayed?
Yes, I do understand that. I do.
But what is your own position? You think he was betrayed, or you think the guys did the right thing by walking away?
I don't think they did it. I think the timing was wrong. But again, in every chaos, there is an opportunity. And when it comes to the larger point, one can argue. I don't want to go to the point of betrayal. I think it was disappointing. I would say disappointing, but I wouldn't say betrayal, because betrayal is just a strong word. It's a very strong word. It's disappointing for them to want to bring these things this time around. And what I believe is, I think even if they wanted to introduce that, I'm sorry, one second. Even if they wanted to introduce that, I'm sorry.
I said they let him down, but not betrayal.
I'm sorry.
They let him down? Is that what you want to say?
Yeah, in a way, I wouldn't say it's a betrayal. Betrayal is a very strong word. I don't think they betray him. It was just disappointing that they introduced it in this time of his name. I believe they respect him. I believe they still, to some extent, care about him. You know, when you say somebody betrays somebody, that means they don't give a damn about the person. They just want the person to move on. So I think betrayal is a strong word, but I think they let him down. It was disappointing for them to introduce that at that point.
Mr. Johnson,
Hold on, Robert. Tavina will come in with her perspective, and then we can go around.
Well, Tavina is giving me 30 seconds.
No. Tavina, I want you to come in with your perspective.
That's not what betrayal is.
Hold on, Masa. Tavina, the same question.
Robert, you're asking for 30 seconds. I'll yield.
Robert was not going to give 30 seconds.
Yeah, give 30 seconds.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Tavina, go. It's okay. I'll be patient.
Yeah, be patient. Write it down.
So the question there, I guess, is: did the guys betray Stanton, or
yes,
or were the actions, legitimate or timely?
Who is the betrayer here? Is the question? Stanton is the betrayer here, or the panelist the betrayer here?
I want to. They did the right thing by walking away.
I want to agree with Alfred. Betrayal is just a strong word. I don't think there's any betrayal there. Yeah, there are disappointment on both ends. You know, people, you know, we're so quick to forget. You know, before we even go into all of this, Stanton, I agree, Stanton is dealing with a lot. He got a federal and state case going on, but these guys are dealing with a lot too. So on both ends, they may not have federal case and state case, but they're dealing with a lot. Reputation damage, a lot going on. So on both ends, the stakes are high. May not of the same magnitude, but they're all of them are not in the right state of mind. So let's just establish that basis. Stanton is not the only person. But, you know, when I say our people, we're so quick to forget, thousands of people, millions of people, because we've been on for 3 years now, millions of people have watched Stanton disrespect his panelists openly, mute them, call their names, put them in backstage, and laugh, ha, 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 ha. Let me play, you want to play the show, leave, man. He disrespected the ladies, well, Francine and Mariah openly. I got those screenshots, I didn't talk. Because you know what? I said it, they had no business being there. They still got, you know, going there. We, as myself said, we started that platform. If I want to do it, God can bless. You know, Dennis talked about, Tavina, how I debut there. Not only debut, but I did a lot of graphic design work for Spoon TV, behind the scene. The Spoon Talk t-shirts they all wear around here, I designed it. The God can bless, I designed it. The poster that they used to put up for the guests and everything, Tavina designed it. They paid me for it. Obviously, I was not doing free work. Was I invited on the platform many times to even be a co-host when they wanted a woman or a women on there? Yes. Several times, several conversations. I declined it. For money or no money, I declined it. Because you know what? I have my reputation to protect. I will not let nobody disrespect me for peanuts money, even for $1 million. Stanton had disrespected a lot of people on that platform. He had disrespected even guests. There were times that shows are going on because most of the time I said, I would get your post analysis, you know, just for you to get better. People singing the rebranding thing. We've been singing the rebranding song to Stanton 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when he started changing the story from God Can Bless to being a songwriter or a mass choir for CDC. We've been telling you, this is your brand, protect it. Stop being biased. You said you saw for what a basis you open this to help people and to be the voice of truth. Be unbiased, you know, don't take, you know, all the, so we be having those conversations behind the scene, but I'm not even going to that, but we all saw this. Stanton would disrespect these guys and ladies, and they would come the next day. If I someone, they would say, oh man, Stanton too crazy, but you know, Stanton will never change. Someone they would laugh on the show. If I go to a stand, not this, it's not a secret. Oh man, your Bordella with BTL. This man, the other panelist is a pastor. He has a wife and family. All of that.
But Tavina, did they leave because of the disrespect?
So they didn't leave. Give me a second there. Mm-hmm. So they didn't leave all along because you know what? They stood true to the friendship. If anything, I was one of the people. If they had 10 people that were behind them to leave 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was one of them. I can even openly say, because I even told Stanton. I said, if I were your employee, I will, only 2 days I'll work for you. Whether I got a new job or not, I will walk off the job. I cannot work for you for free or both pro bono. You're too rude and disrespectful. I have no friend like you. So notwithstanding with all this open disrespect and the behind the scenes disrespect, they stood there. They never brought his secret outside. They never worried. People can say, oh, you know, betrayal, wherever it is. This thing been going for a month. The guys were there. They were talking behind the scene to him. You can see that when the guys came out, they were very protected and guided. They tried not to even, you know, like, oh, you know, our brother, they tried it, but they still want to say certain things because now they feel that they need to defend themselves. It's a late, in my opinion, is late. They got a text message from me. I fearlessly went after them. They know me, I don't joke with them. Everybody know me that know Tavina. I don't miss my words. I went for them on social media, in their private boxes, in text message, I got all of them contact. But they stood there with Stanton. People say, oh, he's sole proprietor, and so they got no business to tell him to rebrand. Yes, they have business to tell him to rebrand. They're with him. They all made that brand. Stanton had money. Nobody knew Stanton. Nobody knew Stanton. It was those guys, people like Tomani, Peabody, Ben King, later in the game. those guys, through their connections, people they went to school with, that how people start getting to start bringing panelists on that show for people to know Stanton.
So Tavina,
give me chance. Let me finish. You get other people chance. Let me talk.
Yeah, but I want to guide it, right? So I want to give you more time. So what I'm asking is, since they did not leave in spite of the constant disrespect, as per what you're saying now, and they are leaving now, do you think so? What is driving that?
But then we get to the point now.
Okay.
So they people say, oh, they were ungrateful and all of that. Yet they stood there because they told my man, I want man. Stanton will never change, man. You know Stanton crazy. You know Stanton, Stanton is who he is. Stanton is Stanton. You know, there's always say. But you have to understand, they try to negotiate in the backseat so that all of this, when I come to the point, come forward. They'll be on this journey for 1 month. You think the guys couldn't have walked away the first day it came out? I was one of those that said, y'all need to get off that show. I said it on my minute. One day I made over 25 posts. That's the longest I've ever written. I don't do talk show as much on my own page unless I come in this platform. I write a lot. I was after them. I was sending them directly in their direct messages. They stood there because they felt that their friend, they've been there through, blood, water, and sweat to good times, whatever it is. Yeah, Stanton was nice. Nobody would take it from Stanton that he's not nice. But Stanton is one of those men now where they beat their wives. The night before they beat them, they abuse them, and the next day they buy them the Mercedes C7 or 10, wherever, with a big bow on it. No, you disrespect these children. Even they try to say, let's rebrand. What's wrong with rebranding? People say, oh, they're trying to take the main company. Who's going to take Stanton with his new company when the company is registering his name? His name is on the business registration to the state office. How can they take his business? Who's going to take Spoon Network from him other than state government or federal government? How can these guys take his business from him? There was an easy fix. Step aside, because right now, y'all got trust factor. First of all, y'all went to George Weah. Y'all went like you had a secret meeting to George Weah. Y'all never told us what y'all discussed. Y'all scored plenty of points there. Y'all lost plenty of points there. Y'all came back. Y'all been taking side. Y'all just all over the place. Y'all lost a lot of points there. And then come there. Y'all cannot even talk about the issue. Even if the chairman said, I'm sorry, I said chairman, the guy said, let's talk about, let's just inform the public what's going on. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, Stanton could have drove that narrative and tell us, say, look, you can talk about this, but this is how we're going to talk about this. You don't have to discuss the merits of the case, but just inform the people.
But Stanton did.
No.
Well, he did.
No. Give me a second there. So you can discuss the case and come around and say, all is well at the appropriate time. No, I was indicted. My lawyers are handling this. Yes, whatever you see out there, yes, it is. They are legitimate charges. I'm in court, but we're handling this. That would have kind of smoothed things out temporarily. If the guy said, take your picture off the something, nothing wrong with that. It doesn't get the fact that's your company. If somebody said, change the company name, I felt that was a little bit too much because he's not ready charged, right? I mean, he's not charged, indicted. So to tell him to change the name, I can disagree with that. I say, okay, you hold off on that proposal until he is charged. He is guilty of these charges, and they say, okay, change the name. Other CEOs in America have done it.
Right.
It doesn't change anything. It's this.
So tell me, what do you say to the fact that, to the question that, in spite of the alleged abuses or the abuses that you're talking about, they stay there because of the money and the fame, and now they are trying to see this indictment as an opportunity to bring about that change so speedily at a time that he's struggling with a federal indictment.
It doesn't matter that he's struggling. Stanton hasn't even realized to himself that he's struggling with federal indictment. You can cry more than the bereaved. First of all, I have to prioritize my own problem. To tell you the truth, if I got federal and state kids going, what do I care about managing schedules? That's what we talk about succession planning. You have 8 guys or 6, how many of them there? So they were already taking turns and manage it. Today you moderate, tomorrow Barbara moderate, this person moderate. What do I care about all of this? I can lead from the back, even if I didn't even have this case. We always think that we need to lead from the front for people to know I own this. You can lead from the back and still be effective. But knowing Stanton, he had to hawk everything. He got to hawk everything. No. There was nothing wrong with those proposals. Absolutely nothing. They were trying to save his face, save his bread.
Thank you. So Robert will come and then Massa before, and then I turn it over to Mr. C. Robert,
I want to, and thank you, Lord, for allowing me to be so patient. I want to respond directly to my good friend and brother. And by the way, let me just say this: I respect Alfred Johnson a whole lot. This guy, he's one of the best expert in his field when it comes to law enforcement, and so I don't take anything lightly. So let me just give the disclaimer: I'm not an expert in law enforcement, but I'm also not a clown, right? I understand what misprision actually is. Misprision with felony actually is the failure to report a crime. But when we speak about betrayal, then we have to put things in content and context. It's very important. There are many forms of betrayal here, guys. Look, you guys said betrayal is a big word. What about deception? What about double dealing? Can we use those words? If betrayal is such a big word, and so we cannot put it in contextualize it, then let's use double dealing. When you, as a platform, when Stanton presents himself as his arm of integrity, where he for good governance and corruption, then of course it is incumbent upon him to not run from what he's dealing with publicly. When those three former government officials were sanctioned by these United States of America, Stanton led the voices to call them out. And not only did he call them out, he demanded the immediate removal. On what basis was that? When a former panelist in person of Acedo was accused, this was just an allegation, folks, not as close to the magnitude of what he's dealing with. When he was accused for domestic abuse or domestic violence, what did Stanton do? Dennis Anthony? Acedo was removed. Acedo was immediately removed. Look, when we talk about betrayal, let's forget the word betrayal. I want to focus on double dealing because maybe we cannot bring it home. When you sit on a platform and you are calling everyone else corrupt, and that's the reason why some of us don't want to go in depth with this discussion. But when you sit on a platform, and this is what's wrong with our society today, when you sit on a platform and everyone else is corrupt, every best professional practice must apply to others. Until you are in the hot water, it speaks to the hypocrisy that we encourage in our society today. So when I talk about betrayal and the fact that these guys are with him, traveling with him, and doing everything with him, and in fact, agree to be with him on a platform that speaks to corruption, that speaks to everything that is bad in governance, everything that is bad in our society, and not knowing that this particular guy is double dealing per alleged by the federal government, that's betrayal. You don't have to tell me. I don't want to know. I don't have to know anything. But again, you've got to pick your battles. If I'm a criminal and I'm involved into scamming and doing fraudulent stuff, guess what? Conversations around fraudulent behavior of others will not be something that I want to be the arm of. I don't want to discuss that. So Alfred, I understand your point. I'm not telling people to go around telling people I'm a criminal. But what I'm saying, when people question the integrity of these men, and these guys are not perfect, trust me, none of us are. But when you question their decisions, when you question why they left, and all of these things, and you narrow it down to, well, consider what he's dealing with right now. Well, guess what? When he sat on the platform and he belittled and I don't agree with her all the time, but we watched him belittle attorney Mariah Kekula. He said to her, that little education, unquote, that was disrespectful. Not only did he do that, he put her in the back, only for trying to express herself. She could have left too, but she came back. There are a certain level of patience. There's a certain level of professionalism that comes with patience. And when people are in relationships, when people believe in people, when people trust people, when people respect people, They gave them the opportunity to make amends. And I believe this is what these guys were doing. When Mariah came back after she was disrespected, I believe conversations were held behind closed doors. But she believed that Stanton would make amends. She came back. And so this question about could they have left? I don't take disrespect. I don't take nonsense. I would not give you many opportunities to continue to disrespect me. But some of us are not always the same. That's what makes our human being. Others people got more patient than others.
Robert,
more patient.
Hey, Dennis, can I?
One second, Robert. Stanton was no longer moderating the show, so he was already in the back seat, right? Wasn't that enough?
Back seat. He wasn't moderating, but he was injecting, and he was managing the store from the back.
When people say step,
so he was micromanaging.
You know, Dennis.
I gave you.
Let Robert finish.
I gave you an example. Of what has happened with big companies. Within 6 months, they've co-founder of Uber, assisted over $100 billion company, had to recuse himself.
Right. Those are actual companies that they can run without.
You can't say these are actual companies that are different with you.
No, Robert, what I mean is Stanton is the alpha and the omega of the Spoon Talk.
But who thought is that?
But yes, the thing though, Robert.
No, I will not be interrupted. I will not be interrupted. Master, one second.
Yes, the thing,
I will not be interrupted. I will land. Let me land on this thought. It's no one's fault, Dennis, that for Stanton's inability to put in structure, business structure, if he wants his operation to be seen as such. That's his business. In fact, if he was a businessman, then he would be listening to folks like Ben and others who have suggested, why are you paying $400 out of your own pocket to compensate us for our analysis when we could be promoting ads on our show to actually generate funds for overheads? That's Stanton's business. The man's inability to put in place business structure is no one to be blamed. But I want to end on this note because others want to come in. I will argue intellectually at any length that this whole idea that when someone is involved in criminal act and they are the voice of something like corruption and all of what is bad practices in our involvement, and they are double dealing, and those around them are doing the same thing under disguise, it is betrayal. It is not elementary. I think the true betrayer is Stanton. He lied to not only those guys, he lied to the nation, he lied to everyone. Because if people like Miguel and others knew Stanton was selling fake nursing degree, I bet you this, they would not have given the opportunity to even say a single word to them.
Thank you.
I disagree with that.
Hey, Dennis, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can I step in real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. So you have to understand that when you're making an argument, I'll give you this example before I even step. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was telling me about an incident involving another friend. The person was raped and all that. And I started to ask questions based on my experience, based on my knowledge of law enforcement and the various elements of these crimes. So she got very emotional and she cut off the phone. And after a while, I told her, hey, when it comes to certain conversation, I don't attach emotions to it because I understand there is a larger implication here. When it comes to issues having to do with the root of law and it comes to criminality, emotions do not apply. We have to balance our emotional approach towards argument with our understanding that there is a larger legal implication. There is a reason why sometimes people wonder how the person get away with murder, because while we are looking from an emotional perspective, the law is looking at it from a legal perspective. It's one thing to argue. It's one thing to say the person did it. It's an entirely different thing to say the person, you can prove it. Why am I saying this? There is a difference between the argument, Mr. If a rapper wants to make an emotional argument or moral argument, I understand that. But when Robert spoke on your show, he said that by Stanton not telling these guys about his dealings, he was he is the betrayer. I'm like, no, you cannot say that, because if you ask him to tell these guys about his criminal behavior, you are creating a situation for these guys that they may not be able to handle. So him not telling them was the most appropriate thing to do. Now, I will agree with Robert when it comes to the network approach towards the whole issue as far as the breaking news is concerned. They should have exercised the moral judgment and the credibility to say, hey, despite the fact that he's our CEO, this is an important news. He's an important person. He has an entire network. People listen to him. He has chastised people verbally before for corruption, for actions not consistent with the rule of law. So we have a responsibility to break this news and tell the Liberian people this is what's happening with our CEO. However, where I disagree with people is the idea, and Ben said it on Costa show, that they should update the popularity. Today Stanton went to court. Today Stanton did it one. I don't think that's necessary, because for one, you have to be careful in criminal proceeding what you say, because the process is never done. There are stages to this process. It's never done. The prosecution is always gathering evidence, just as the defense is always gathering evidence. So through the conversation, that there exists a possibility that if Ben is on a show, or Telmani is on a show saying something that the prosecution don't know about or the defense don't know about, and that thing is said, it is not available to the public, that could be a problem for both of them. So the best thing is to stay away from the criminal process, stay away from narrating it, and give them updates based on important steps in the process, like the verdict, like if they reach a plea deal, those things like that. But to say that you have gone through the entire process on a consistent basis, I do not agree with that.
Thank you.
I just have one opinion.
I'm sorry, Dennis.
Hold on, Sabina.
I'm not hearing you.
Conversation. I just have one opinion.
I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, Massa, go ahead quickly.
Okay, so
I'm not hearing you either.
I can hear you. Alfred. I can hear you.
We can hear you.
You got to go and come back on.
Go ahead, Massa.
Okay, so I just wanted to, respond to Robert. And I think like what Alfred said is true. Sometimes, especially for this situation, I think we are putting more sentiment and emotion into it. And
are you guys hearing me now?
Like I said, I don't think it's that serious. Honestly speaking, it's
Are
not.
you hearing me now?
Yes, we are. We were always hearing you. You were not hearing us. Go on.
Oh,
Massa.
okay.
Speaking of the guys, the four guys, they knew exactly what they were part of. They knew that Stanton had asked them to form part of this group, and he was going to give them $400 every 2 weeks. They were excited by that amount. They were excited by it. Robert, yeah, that's a good smiley face. They were excited by it. $400 every 2 weeks, and you have $800 a month. It adds value to their life. So they were excited by it. Yes. The fact that Stanton refused, stopped the payment and told them that he was going through some financial issues, and they decided to stick with him, is because they have already built that rapport with him, where they have traveled to places, they sat on that platform, they make each other laugh, and and they became like a team.
They were famous, and they got
a famous team. So it was so difficult to break away. It was very difficult to break away. So they're coming out to tell us that they have been having conversation with Stanton that they need to rebrand the show and blah, blah, blah. I do not buy into that. Honestly,
so Massa,
I do not buy into that. Do you know why? Because if you were actually doing that, and that's something that's supposed to benefit the public will be informed. The public will be informed. Some of us, we never had evidence that Stanton was giving these guys money, but we heard it through people that were closer to them, that they were getting, some kind of stabbing. We heard it. So we were going to hear that as well. You cannot sit and wait for your friend to be, let's just say, indicted. Not even like I don't even want to use the word.
So Massa, let me ask you this.
Investigation. Let's just say your friends.
Before you move on to the next question, I gotta tell you.
Hold on, Massa. Are you saying because they were getting 400, so no matter what happened, they should stick there They
They were
just
already there. It's not
right. So if you are
that
somewhere and
happens.
something you sense is not going right,
yeah,
you just have to dig your toes in and stay there.
According to what they are telling us now, there were so many things that were happening, and they were still there.
Right, and they are saying the club is
so
full.
are you saying they didn't have the right to exercise their right to leave? Don't we all get employed?
I don't think that's what Massa is saying. If I'm stepping real quick,
We're not having this. I have to speak, you know.
One at a time, please.
They have the right to leave. They have the right to leave, and Stanton has the right to reject their claims or whatever suggestions that are provided to him. He has the right to reject it. But then when you leave, you come to the public with the right information. You don't come to the public with misleading information in your press conference and then go on talk show to talk show and giving the wrong information. Since these guys left your platform, they have gone on other platforms and they
so what was the misleading? What is the right information?
Change. They told us it was an internal disagreement according to their press release, and they were disassociating themselves from the platform. They wanted to tell us on this very platform that Stanton actually told them that, in fact, the Peabody and the other guy, that he does not want them to be part of the team, and he blocks all four of them.
No, Master, that is not true. Not all four of them. Stanton Peabody was the one who said he was blocked.
Yes.
So, right. And the two he wanted
eventually.
Hold on. He wanted Kev Hassan and Ben. And Kev is saying, if you don't allow the other guys, then I can be here.
Yes, that was what Kev said. And Stanton told us that Kev told him that he was resigning because he told him that he received a call from the higher up to leave.
Kev said that was a lie. Kev said that was a lie.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that it tells you that, in fact, the press release that they put out, it was misleading. You tell the public, if you want to put out a press release, be objective, be real, be fair to the public. I was one of those, how you call it, Denise, that even commented on Spoon TV that indeed they need to close this place down for now to take away the attention from Stanton.
Thank you.
I was one of those. In fact, I even told somebody I was going to reach out to my friend Francine to take a break. And be able
in their press release, their major reason they stated was internal wrangling. And on the show, they maintain that was the main reason, the internal wrangling for which they left. But then I have a question for the panelists here, please.
No, before you move to that question, I gotta do.
Anyways, Denise,
please let my sister talk.
Let me talk. Y'all know I can talk here. I just be nice to you.
Denise, I've commented a lot on this issue, so I would just take a back seat and listen to other people.
Tabina, you're coming.
No, y'all know I can talk. Y'all better stop playing with me tonight before I get my boots mood. I be nice. I'm tired from work. But to the issue, a couple of things. I want to demystify some myths out here. I hear people talking about these guys were hired. They were fired. They were not hired. Let's start throwing words around. When you hire somebody, you employ them for wages. They made it clear they were not hired. So if you hire somebody, you can't fire them. Yes, they provided services, and in reward for the services, they were giving token. They were getting honorariums. That's what we call it. Is it tax deductible? Yes. Yeah. You know that our brother Alfred talk about, it's reportable to own your taxes. Yes, it is. Any income, whether by token or by honorable, or we say, we say gratuity.
Even tips, Tabina, even tips.
Y'all let me finish, Y'all let me finish. Any income, whether gratuity, once it's over, I believe 500 or 600, because I'm not doing taxes anymore. But if it's over 500, I want to say 500 threshold, you have to report it to the federal government. So yes, they should have reported that. But then they were not hired by Stanton. They were not hired for Stanton. Should they have left earlier? Yes.
They were hired. They were paid for a job that they were doing.
Yes, well, you were talking.
They were paid.
Y'all give me a chance. Let me talk. Masa cool up, mama. Drink my water. Let me talk. So let me talk now. So
Sabina, go ahead.
Give me where I can wrap up here. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
please.
an income. Somebody said income. It's an income. But to the point where they say, oh, the lying, you know, they should have said everything. You know what? Everybody can say should have, could have, whatever it is. Yes. The way I saw the letter, yes, it was poorly written, but guess what? I saw it as an executive summary. That's how I said, as an auditor, that's how we say executive summary. You write something and they were guided. They don't have to write everything on the paper. We want everything. They got other report or investigative report. No, they wrote something. Okay, let's not destroy our man, but let's say the truth at the appropriate time when necessary. We'll say what we need to say. Could they have said more? Yes, they left some holes there. Yes, but that's what they came out later on now to explain. Hopefully, they don't go any more than what they already said and just leave it at that. So it's frustrating to come and say whether they're lying. They said what they said. Who were there to buttress to say whether they're lying or not? Who were privileged to that information? Only the parties involved, and some of us who know the inside story know. So they're not lying. And you're not lying. So one can say, oh, they lie, they're inconsistent. You have the right to associate, disassociate. Like an abusive relationship, I also like to explain that's an abusive relationship. A woman can stay in an abusive marriage for 3-5 years, she just dead. They're beating her, they're stepping on her here, she dead. 5 years later, she started to leave. Everybody will say, you should have left when the first time that man slapped your head. You should have left it. She chose the time that she wanted to leave. She can take until she can take no more. And so women at that point where they said they couldn't take no more. Was the timing right? Who's there to say what at the timing are right? Well, not only they who got in their shoes, they know what they can tolerate, what they cannot tolerate. It's easier said or done when you're not in that situation. We can pass judgment. They know what to endure. Some of the things, the people who say they're ungrateful, they're so and so, they saw some of the disrespect. They saw some of the disrespect. We have the lady on the show, the Francine that's even there. How many times I said she disrespect or openly said, you don't have to be on this show.
Actually celebrated it by their president.
And she came back and I was open and said, I have worked with this woman on the general project years back. I said all this month the woman got she said
I don't sympathize with people who just put there and accept this.
One at a time, please.
Hold on, mama. Give me break here. Let me live struggling. She stayed there, but for each, to each his own. She stayed there, she remained there. While she's there, it's hard to explain. But if it were me or other people, I won't be there. I said it before.
Thank you.
I personally call panelists. Let me finish this. I personally, when I see people on flyers that I know, because I used to recommend people to spoon to a tool. I have carried panelists there, relatives and friends. When I see them on spoon flyer, I personally call them. I said, why are you going over that boy does not respect his panelists? He does not even respect his guests. I say that to them because I don't want my friends or my relatives to be disrespected by Chinton. We also are in plain view. So why we are arguing here? Somebody want to stay with somebody want to stay because you going to Christ and must stay with him. Don't I have family? Don't I have feelings too? The guys have feelings. They have family. Do you know the pressure they were under? Their wives, their children, their sisters, their brothers. Let's look at it both ways.
If the guys were not hired, then they were interns.
They were not interns either. I beg to intern. Please look at the definition of intern. I beg to differ. Please.
So here's my question for
never signed paperwork. So the guys themselves, they deceive the public.
All right, that's enough now. That's enough. Mr. Sia, go ahead, ask your question.
Thank you. The guy said their reason for leaving was the fact that they had internal wranglings.
Disagreement.
The issue of Stanton refused us to step aside, rebranding, some specifics. Now, this happened.
Volunteers.
Like, Martha, is that how you behave on a show?
I'm laughing. But wait, come on now.
Wow. So these guys said that the reason they left was the fact that they were having internal wranglings. But there was an
internal disagreement, they said.
Internal disagreement. all right? But there was an indictment that we all heard about that fueled the whole thing. These are panelists who held people accountable on the biggest media platform in Liberia. And they are saying they were not leaving, or they didn't leave because of the indictment. Even though similar indictment, they have advocated for others to leave or to be relieved of their positions. But they could not leave because these men were their friend, except for internal disagreements. Are they telling the truth, or are they not telling the truth? That's the question I want to ask you. And
if I may, Mr. C.
respect accountability by their statement?
If I may, Mr. C.
Go ahead.
If I may.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so you see, there is this tendency for all of us to take a side in issues without trying to exercise some sort of objectivity. People are saying on one end that Kev Hassan said that what Mr. Witherspoon said was not true, that somebody in the higher echelon called him. What else do we have except the words of both individuals? Their credibility, unless we have that credibility, we know how credible either of them is, then we base our belief on them. But I cannot take the both of them words and say one person is saying the truth, one person is lying.
That's not my question. I'm not sure you understood my question.
No, I understood the question. Your question was whether the internal the claim of internal wrangling was true or not. That's the question, right?
No, then you did not answer my question.
All right, ask the question.
They had indictment and they had internal wrangling. They said they left because of internal wrangling. And not the indictment. So I'm asking you, which one do you believe? The indictment
I
does
believe,
they acknowledge fuel this thing, or the internal wrangling?
Oh no, I get that. But guess what? Somebody asked them the question. They say, would you have stayed if there was no indictment? And they couldn't answer it. So I'm gonna tell you that why the two people want to say that they left because of the indictment. The issue is they left, I believe, because of the internal wrangling. And here is why I believe it. This internal wrangling was going on prior to the indictment. And Stanton rejected it because Stanton, being the CEO of his company and all that, rejected it. That's why they said, Ben Sambi said it on Costa's show, and I believe he said it on his show, that it's issue they were trying to discuss about how to approach the election, the coverage for the election, and how they want to approach everything. And there was an issue with that. So they said, what's his name? Stanton rejected it. When the indictment came up, they asked Stanton to step aside. That's the first thing. Number two, they wanted to rebrand, and the rebrand was includes the change in coverage approach and all that. And based on Stanton's refusal to accept both things, and he removing them from the chat room, based on that, based on the internal wrangling, they left. Do I believe that the indictment gave birth to the internal wrangling or exacerbated the situation? Yes. But from all indication, plus or minus, they did not leave because of the indictment. They left because Stanton could not accept what they were proposing. And the fact that he fired them, he pretty much removed them from the entire process. They felt there was no way they could exercise any control over him or any control of the show, so they left. So the internal wrangling was the cause of them leaving and not the indictment. Because plus or minus the indictment, they would have, assuming that Stanton had accepted all their proposal, they would have stayed. They wouldn't have left. They would have stayed if Stanton had accepted all their proposal. So we cannot say the indictment made it to leave because plus or minus the indictment, they would have stayed if Stanton had accepted all their proposal. So the internal wrangling was the cause of them leaving. The fact that Stanton kicked them out of the chat room.
Right. But Alfred, you said two things here I want to highlight quickly. Concerning what Stanton reported about the reason Kev was leaving, Kev says a lie. You said you can't believe either one of them because, it's one world versus the other, right? But then when it came to their reason saying, hey, Stanton, we want to rebrand, we want to do this, and Stanton rejected it, that one you believe?
No, because they said it. They said that Stanton rejected it.
Right.
So what I'm saying here is something that does not work in their favor. Let me say that it's what they said. It didn't work it does not work in their favor. For them saying it's not something that works in their favor. So it's a negative on them. For them to come and publicize the negative, I have to believe it because it's a negative that they publicize themselves. So they came out with a negative and a positive. So I have to believe it's not Stanton is saying I rejected them. They themselves said Stanton rejected it.
Thank you.
So I have to believe what they're saying because it's a negative that they put out themselves. It did not benefit them in any way, shape, or form. So I have to believe that negative. And based on the information, I believe them.
Thank you. Peter said the indictment gave them the leverage, and Stephen said the indictment was the catalyst. So
the indictment gave them, the indictment gave them. They felt. Let's rephrase it. They felt the indictment gave them leverage to come and reintroduce what was initially rejected.
Thank you. Let me say this. Tavina first, then Robert, you.
Okay.
Well, I sort of agree. Yes, the indictment gave them leverage, but we can't say that to reintroduce what were introduced before. They introduced something about the way forward for election. That was the main thing. There was they said let's rebrand, take the backstage, these kind of things, so that we can save face, so we can at least make sure we build trust and all these things. Stanton disagree. Yes, if he had done it, they would have stayed together. Keep in mind, though, they would have stayed together. Keep in mind, these guys too. Stanton, if somebody mutes you, inject you out of the chat room, they block you out of the show. You guys all colleagues, friends, you're on this panel. You think I come and focus on Liberia. We work together on different projects. If Focus on Liberia mutes me, inject me on one of the chat rooms, and they take me out of the the stream. I can't see the stream. I can't be on there, and I'm used to getting it every day. For my own respect, say I'm gonna stay be there because TikTok going federal case. No, we're not having that. I have to respect myself. I gotta do what is in my best interest, and that's what the guys did, and I think it was right.
Robert?
Dennis, first of all, I disagree with Alfred, because I will believe any one of the four guys over Stanton at this point. I mean, are you kidding me?
That's a matter of opinion. That's not a matter of disagreement. I don't know if that's something to disagree on.
It is.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It is something to disagree on. One.
All right, that's cool. Go ahead.
One, Stanton lied when he said on the platform on Thursday that Timberlane George and Dr. Peabody were to return the following week. Behind closed
and how you know he lied?
He lied because behind closed doors. No, it's okay. It's okay. He lied. Let me inform my brother, because he seemed not to be informed on the details. Behind closed doors.
I mean, no, it's not. I mean, quickly, it's not that. Maybe you have some internal information. If
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Let him finish, Alfred.
No, that's okay. But
we are running against time. We need to bring your callers in. So please.
He lied, Alfred, because behind closed doors, when he told the audience that Peabody and Timberlane George will return next week, and they were sorting out that schedule, guess what he had already done? They were already blocked and kicked out the group. So this is where he lied and misinformed the people. What he should have told them was, by the way, Peabody and Timberlane George are not returning because I've blocked them and I've essentially gotten rid of them. He did not tell them that. So who do you believe here? He also lied when he talked about what Kev Hassan told him. I'm not going to go into details on how I know and whatnot, but he lied. He lied with regards to all of the information he gave the folks on the show was misinformation. To the question, did they leave because of the indictment? I don't think they left because of the indictment. Look, there are many instances where there have been criminal cases, sexual harassment charges with major network, and the network continued. Okay? The indictment of the CEO, I believe, if the structure were in place, should have nothing to do with what those guys are doing. Okay? If it's a moral issue, if it's a principal issue for anyone to say, look, you know what? If I cannot speak on this topic, then I'll leave. That's one thing. But I don't think the indictment had anything to do with them leaving or not. I think this boiled down to the fact that he did not accept some of the suggestions. One last point I want to make, Dennis, I think is very important. I want to one second, please. I want to categorically say to Masa, I think to say that $400 compensation for what those guys did 7 days a week somehow added value to their lives. I think it's disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful because
that?
These are people. One second. I know some of these folks. These are people that
I know them too.
These are people that have made real money. I don't know what $400 2 weeks can do for me.
Then why
$400
take it?
2 weeks is beyond my gas.
Why take it?
It's beyond my gas.
Okay, I got your point. Let's go to Martha.
It's nothing to add value to someone's life. I think it
Of
can.
course it is.
No, I don't think so.
So did they donate?
Said.
So Robert, did they donate the
hold on, Master, I'm coming to you next.
They did not get paid for a whole year, and they're still on the show. What did they benefit?
Master, I'm coming to you next.
What did they benefit in the year and a half they were there? I mean, I don't think it was all about money. If it was about money, then these guys would have left immediately when he said to them business was not doing well, and so they would not have received the $400.
Thank you, Robert.
They just needed
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Master. The same question that Anthony asked, please. Was it the indictment?
What is his question?
Was it the indictment? Was it the internal disagreement? Why they left? And which one do you believe? Are they saying the truth?
They left because Stanton did not honor their request. They wanted to take ownership of his idea. They wanted to rebrand his idea and make it to be theirs and do whatever they want to do.
How did they want to take his idea and make it theirs? Because they were all involved, right?
First of all, Denise, this is a man who is on a federal investigation. He has not been convicted yet. He never went to court yet to say, "Oh, you are convicted of a crime."
What does it have to do with the rebranding?
That's what I'm telling you now. So the rebranding is the fact that you're telling somebody, we're going to take your picture. We're going to remove your picture. First of all, when that thing took place, Stanton came on his network. He spoke directly to the public. He told it exactly that what you guys are seeing is not shocking to anybody. Right. But we have lawyers. I want to speak to it, but because of my legal team, I cannot speak to it. A lot of people even applauded him because
and he said he was coming back the next Monday to be on the show.
Some Liberians will not even do it, but he came on that very day when we all were on social media beating him. You know, he came, he addressed the audience, he addressed the network. So when you come out now, let's just say less than 1 month, and breaking out all these suggestions, because these guys, they were talking to people. Let me tell you, just how Robert said he got reliable information. I got reliable information. They were talking to people, and that's why they were putting out all these boogers, suggestions out there to somebody who is not even in person yet, who worked so hard to build his network, who finances his institution. They want to repossess it and make it theirs. And that was very, very wicked. That's the idea of a bad friend. That's the mindset of a betrayer. You do not wait when somebody is in the storm and then you want to add another storm to their trouble. Even the very law that the very legal stuff that Stenson is faced with right now, I'm pretty sure they have assigned, they probably assigned with a counselor, because it's very traumatic. Even his wife, his children, that's a traumatic event going on in their lives. So you need your friend in time of trouble to be there.
Master, they were working together. Why are you stressing the friendship? They had a working relationship, right?
Oh, but you guys just told me that they were not hired. When I told you they were hired and they were getting paid, you said no, they were not hired. And Dennis, you have a home. You can hire. I don't know. We try to limit hiring with only employment, and that's not fair. That's not fair to the audience. You can go. We have a Nextdoor. We have a Nextdoor app. You can go on that Nextdoor app and hire a handyman to come and repair your sink. I hire him. I pay him money. He came in. He repaired my sink. He left. In fact, prior to Eric coming or Eric doing it in the process of repairing my sink, I got a right to fire him.
But that's not that piece is an apple comparison.
I agree.
Thank you.
If
Hold
you
on.
pay
Let
somebody
us not go to the
to
higher rate again. Just end your point.
you hire that person to do your work. So these guys were hired, they were getting paid for a year plus. And I doubt that it was even a year plus. I think they were getting paid throughout until this thing happened. And Stanton can no longer pay them. I don't believe them. Sorry, I don't believe them.
Thank you.
The story is not credible because of what I have in my possession. That story is not credible. I don't believe them.
Thank you. And what you have, Master, do you care to share that?
What I have in my possession is totally different from the story that they are carrying out there. And some of what I have, they already confirmed to that they were in fact fired.
Can you share with us if you don't mind?
What? No, those are confidential stuff. I can't.
Thank you. Now, the last question. Hold on. The last question here before we go to our callers.
If you don't hire.
But Robert, you did the same thing though. You based your entire.
It doesn't make sense. You can't hire.
All right. The last question here before we go to our callers is all of you mentioned the name of Dr. Francine Chenoweth Richardson. And in their explanation, she was neither here or there because it was Kev was mediating. You have Ben, Peabody, and Tamerlane on one side, and Kev said he was mediating. And we asked them about Dr. Chenoweth, Dr. Richardson. He said she was really like on the fence. Now, Dr. Richardson has also received some criticism and some praise about. So what does it tell you that Dr. Richardson has remained on the platform? Does it show that these guys actually, and being the only female panelist, we know how well Spoon worked very hard to get a female on there. Being that, what does it say about this whole resignation? And also, Masa, you alluded to it before, that people are trying to even scandalize, some even use the name blackmail and all that in the in this whole talk. So I want us to speak to that. And in fact, Dr. Francine had people are coming to our aid and say, men always do this when they are in disagreement, they try to do, but when we ask on the show, Tamerlane and the rest of the guys said they deny ever trying to threaten her with anything. So let me start with you, Masa. And before that, let me play a short clip from one of those who defended Dr. Richardson on this. And take a listen.
And what I bring? Yes, I love Dr. Francine as a sister, as a friend. All right? I do. As a confidant. But I also tell her my stand. I ain't got to come here and can't tell you. That's not your business. Do I know what you're doing? The people used to say back in Chuakpali. The whole community that Chuakpali. Prostitution community. You rape your babies, your young girls then. You're any better? So Spoon the money laundry. The American government will prosecute him to the best of their ability. That's what they do. I don't need to put my mouth there. America and not Liberia, the system here works 98% of the time. At least 2% of human error. Give or take. It will work.
All right. So here my two questions here is, what do you make of Dr. Francine remaining on the show? Does it add more credibility to what the guys, to what Stanton is saying, or does it invalidate what the reason for these guys leaving? Because a lot of people trust Dr. Francine's judgment. And this whole idea, and that's the first part. And the second part of this about this whole idea of trying to tarnish her reputation, or maybe people using that to say, well, what do you make, and being a female, a female panelist, because we see that a lot in our environment. So let me start with you, Mansa, for your take on Dr. Francine's stance, what she's doing, and what the guys are, they are denying it, but that information is still out there, and you even repeated it tonight.
Yeah, Denise, I'll be honest with you. I am one of those who is very, very interested in knowing, in hearing from Dr. Francine. She's my friend. She's a big sister to me. I'm very much interested in hearing from her. And like I said, I haven't spoken to her directly, but I will definitely do that. And I think I even told somebody that I was going to reach out to her. She doesn't need to speak directly about, Stanton case, his legal affairs and stuff like that. But at least be honest to the public and say something about it. As you all know, Mr. Waterspoon, the owner of this network, is going through some federal legal charges and stuff like that. But I just wanted to say that this is about institution. And for me, I support the idea that she even remain on the show, because we need to build institution, Denise, regardless of whether this person is a criminal or this person was indicted and stuff like that. We need to build institution. And I give you an example of my boss. My boss was on a federal investigation. It was all in the newspaper here. His photos were never taken from on the state website. His information remained there. He only left the job. He only left his office to clear off with the federal investigators. And after that, he came back. He was just not the only person. There were so many other workers that were on a federal investigation along with him. They left the job temporarily. And after the investigation, they came back. So this is about institution. When we want to build institution, everybody will have their individual flaws. So we will not say that because Afra, Afra was the director of this institution, and now Afra is indicted. So Afra had not even been convicted yet to go to prison or anything. And then we say, okay, you know what? We're going to take Afra from here. No, we're going to take Afra from the spotlight, so that we can focus on the institution. And I like the fact that she comes there every day and she addressing the main issues that the institution stands for. So I applaud her for that. But I also want her to speak to the audience and, tell them where she stands, like what I'm saying now, that she be able to say it in her own words. And the second question was, what's the second question again, Dennis?
Are you on mute, Dennis? Dennis, we can't hear you.
You alluded to the ex-panelist threatening her.
Okay, yeah. So
even though they deny it on the show.
Yes, I actually put out a statement because prior to I think it was like 3 weeks when Dr. Francine was in Liberia, somebody had called me because I'm close to Dr. Francine. I mean, I don't want to call her. She treats me like a little sister. So somebody had called me, oh, what's going on with your friend? I'm hearing something about somebody very, very close said that Dr. Francine and her husband, they are having issue. So I said, no. Right. I always see her posting.
Yeah, I don't want it to be too personal on.
No, it's not. But that's what out there. Great. What is the talk show? All the talk show carrying it. So let's just say it tonight. That's what out there, and that's how people have been able to suppress and depress and traumatize females who are in the spotlight. And the last time when I was on the platform, I told you why women don't like to get into politics, because this is how our politics have been ran in our country. As soon as you're female, you're powerful, you come in the spotlight, people accuse you. Then I'm a victim. People have accused me of so many government officials that never even opened their damn mouth to say, Masa, I warn you. Sorry, guys. But yeah. And so when I heard that about Dr. Francine, and I saw screenshots that I'm not going to go into, like I said, Robert said he knows, I know too, the inside. So, and the person went directly to her husband and they were threatening her to her husband. One of the guys on the show, they were threatening her. And I would say, Tommy Josh, threatening her that, he going to release a tip. We're going to say everything because she's a female. I'm going to defend her. You call me in court, I'm going to say it. And he's in the habit of doing that because he did that to me. You understand? So this idea of, wanting to threaten female because they cannot succumb to your ideology, I think is very wrong. Dr. Francine will continue to remain on our show. Like I said, if she needs to take a break, she will take a break. But please, nobody should blackmail her. She has a beautiful family. She raised 4 beautiful daughters. She got an awesome husband. She got a great career, and she has integrity. She works so hard. She earns everything. So
thank you, Master.
Nobody should blackmail her.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me get to the next female before I go to
Masa got me laughing. My goodness.
Just tell your own. Forget about Masa getting
I
laughing.
have to laugh it out first.
Yeah.
So I beg you, we're getting all sour brain. I can't remember everything. So refresh me on the first question.
Robert, you remember the question? Then you can
The
go.
first
Why?
Yeah, let me. Well, you want me to refresh the question, or you want me to go?
No, give me that question, man.
Well, they said one is, did she?
Francine, Dr. Richardson remaining on the show. What does that say about this whole issue? Because many people just saw a bit adjustment. And then the second one is what Massa said about this whole idea of threatening her.
The
guys on the show denying it.
Okay, I got it. So let's start with her being on the show. People put Francine up there because, of course, our culture. She earned her degree. She teach, at the university, and she got her own private practice. So very much so. So people have to, count her in one of those category of people we trust for a professional judgment, be unbiased in doing the right thing. I've interacted with her on projects before, back. I have my own concerns. It's not appropriate for this. It's not necessary for this forum. But I was taken aback, some of the things that her stance on certain things, even on the show, even when Stanton disrespect other people, she sits there and say nothing, and then Stanton disrespect her. She said nothing about it, about herself. Maybe she talked to him in private, but openly, over and over. And so at one point I said, I want this woman, I see some of her relatives washing here. How does she feel if her husband's watching this and this man's disrespecting her? But to each his own, maybe talking is too much on this respect thing. But, and so I watched it. But so fast forward, her being there, I'll be very honest with you. I don't know the details of why she's there. We all can surmise or one of the things because of history and just the proximity to some of these things. But I will say, Ben kind of mentioned that, we don't know where she is because we come to these meetings, she doesn't say anything, but we don't know where she is. Let me tell you, Francine already taking her side. The fact that she cannot say anything when you're in a meeting with Stanton, that clearly shows that she's taking a side. Because if she had not taken her side, she would speak on her position right in front of Stanton when all are present. Because in other situations, she has been fierce. She has been vocal in the chat room, on telephone call, on other situations regarding spoon talk. Now you come to a forum in front of all the guys, she can't talk. So in my opinion, Francine has taken this opportunity to gain the power that she always wanted. So she's playing games between the guys. She talks so to Stanton. She talked on their side. She's in the middle. Now she has the power that she always wanted. So now she got it. Oh, I'm here. Whatever it is. And that's messy. Because first of all, Francine way older than all those guys. I know when Francine got on that show because when they were recruiting women, they reached out to me. There were Francine and other people that I had to vet to say, Savina, do you know this person? Timothy, the one that got her there. And it wasn't like an overnight process. She ran after Timothy to put her on that show. She was texting. And because of the bond connection, that's how Timothy got her on that show. And so other women that have reached out to some of the guys on the show, I will ask about her, about other people. I say, yeah, she when it comes to general issue, whatever it is. But I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know the details of this whole blackmailing thing. But then stepping it back from the whole gender stuff, because as women, we're quick to defend our own because we're all women, right? We should stand by women. I don't stand with every woman. I got sense and I look at the facts of it. The first thing that is somebody say they're trying to build blackmailing. What is the crime that you committed for somebody to blackmail you? What is this blackmailable act? That's the first thing we should be asking. What is the blackmailable act? Because you come on the show, you know, you're among these guys, you're much older than them. You know, for somebody that Ben, you almost like an auntie to him. God, I believe Ben just said he had 40 years last year.
You shouldn't dwell so much on the age.
No, sister, let me talk. Or you talk, I interrupt you.
You're 40.
No, let me speak.
Age matter because when you try to bring people when you try to limit them.
Please, Martha, you don't draft the narrative for me. You said you.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
No. You can't measure my words.
Hold on, Masa. Go ahead, Tavina. Please conclude.
Respect difference. I understand that your friend. Respect differences. We can respectfully disagree. I'm fine with that. But let me have my time, please. So the thing about it, the reason I brought Ben, because Ben is 40, he's a public. He started a 40th birthday. We all saw it. So the point I'm making, when you come among these guys, you come not only as a professional, but you know where to draw your boundaries with these guys. You don't come acting like your peers and you're all these things. No, you do not. And that's why I think you stretched it, you crossed the line a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on as far as all this billable thing, but I know she and them were friends. And I know that friends with her husband. But to wrap all of this up, they need to ask Francine. Francine, what is this? What happened? What is this billable thing? What is this? What is this offense that they may seem, that somebody trying to blackmail you about? What is it? What have you done? Is it true? And if Francine, talking about her marriage, and if somebody said you want to ruin her marriage, people should have firewalls around their marriage. Francine been married for a long time. I heard. I don't know her like that. But if she have firewalls around her marriage and her husband is close to what's going on there, why should he be bothered? Somebody want to say blackmailing his wife.
Thank you, Tavina.
So I don't get that. I don't believe it. I think Francine is playing her psychology thing. I think she's trying to fire wolf.
They didn't say that.
Hold on, Martha. All right.
I am speaking. Martha, I am speaking. Martha, I will have
we have the time.
Martha, you're not interrupting me. We're not having that. We are not having that.
Please conclude. We want to take some calls here.
So I don't have to
talk. We ain't talking your calls.
We gotta talk.
Gotta answer the question, please.
Okay, Tavina. Okay, Robert.
Do that. You don't do that to a female. You don't do that to a woman.
Hold on, Master, can the other people talk? Robert, you go with that same question. Robert and Alfred, 1 minute each, please.
First, I want to clarify something Master said. You said your boss was under federal investigation. Being under federal investigation, Alfred, please help correct me here, is different from a federal indictment. When you're
that's true. That's true.
And when you are indicted, are two different things. So your boss could leave and go talk to the agents and things like that. It's two different situations with Stanton. Stanton has been indicted. Your boss are under federal investigation. One. With regards to what does it say about this whole thing that Dr. Richardson has stated? Look, let me just say for the record, I respect Dr. Richardson. I respect her. I have nothing negative to say about this woman. I don't know her personally. I've interacted with her on social media, but I respect her. I want to say though that Tomalin George on this very platform admitted that it was a little personal for him with regards to Dr. Richardson because he got her on the show. He also admitted that it would have been nice, given the fact that he got her on the show, to see her unite with them. And look, they did not say anything negative about her. To her credit, Kev even acknowledged that during one of those conversations when Stanton told those guys, "I don't need you. If you want to leave, leave." She said to Stanton, "Don't say that. Don't say that." And so I think she has her right to stay. She's a grown woman. Whatever decision that she makes, that's her decision. I'm sure that she had this conversation with her family, and they thought it was okay for her to be on the show. That's her decision. Now, with regards to this whole blackmailing thing, look, Tomalin admitted on his platform that he made some calls to close friends, mutual friends, that it was important that the Francine, united with them. As far as this blackmailing thing, I don't want to comment on it. I have no idea what this is about. But I think it's an important question. What is it? What is it that has any propensity of even to be blackmailed about? And if and I don't want to speak to her marriage. I think it's disrespectful. I'm not going to do that. But again, if there's something that she did that has any potential of fit the definition of blackmail, then what is that thing? Is it something that she's afraid of, or is it something that her family should be afraid of? What is it? Is it concerning? For me personally, I don't really care. But if it gets to that point where this question about blackmailing continue to resist, then we need to know what is it that happened that could potentially fit the blackmailing adjective.
Thank you. And Alfred?
Yeah, what was the question? I kind of forgot the question.
The whole issue of Francine, Dr. Francine staying. What does it say about the guys leaving? What does it say about her decision to stay? And that's the question.
Well, I don't think it says anything much. It just tells you that people have different perspectives on issues. If she decides her decision to stay, maybe she saw the issue from a different perspective. Maybe she feels that the actions of the guy did not rise to the point of leaving. Also, maybe Stanton feel confident in her and he wanted her to stay as opposed to leaving. Maybe she was one of the people kept in the chat room. It does not say much. It just tells you that people have different approaches towards issues, and we have a responsibility to respect that. And until we can hear their reason, we cannot speculate. But I don't think it says much. And people speaking of blackmailing, I don't want to dwell on that, because we all know in the very inhuman existence, women. I don't want to speculate on a woman like that when it comes to blackmailing, because it's not fair to her. I don't know what's going on, and I don't even want to dignify the issue of blackmailing, because I don't think it's fair to her at all as a person.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we are going to open our phone lines. The number to call is scrolling there. It's on the screen. Mr. CA, please put that on the screen. And we have callers lined up already.
I feel like it's Tough Talking Thursday.
Yeah, it's time to talk tough. So if you want to join the conversation, you have the number on the screen. Somebody was asking me why I use the code. This is the most effective way we can do this, is to have this. The first caller on the line here is caller, your name and where you calling from.
My name is Ernest, and I'm calling from somewhere in the States. I just wanted to make a few comments on this stuff about the rebranding. How can a person who still owes the poor Liberian people $45,000 be one who wants to rebrand?
I think that would be the main reason to rebrand, right?
Exactly.
How can he be part of the rebrand?
Okay.
Mr. Sandry. How can he be part of the rebrand? Then I also want to know, so we all have problems and we all have issues. Then I also want to know if you are blocked, and basically if the owner of a company takes the keys from you, can you then go out and publicly resign? So those are just my concerns, and I think people are making more of something that is not. And I think the largesse from the show that Stanton provided for the panelists was too much. I think being on whatever you guys do, it gave you guys a certain level of fame or notoriety, and it's hard to divorce yourself from that. So for people to say that the indictment had nothing to do with that, I tend to disagree, because I believe that had the indictment not come, they would have been with Stanton for the Rodney CA's book, something in Washington, D.C.
Thank you.
So I can bet my neck that they would have been there. With all the differences, they would have endured the insults because the largesses were too much for them to pull back.
Thank you.
Imagine riding first class. Even Kev said he hadn't been to Liberia 30 years, and it was Stanton who took him back.
Right.
That was too much. That business class, my brother, that money.
I know.
Free money in the proximity. Some of those people knew people in government, but they weren't getting the kind of calls they were getting until they came on Spoon Talk.
Thank you.
So I'll just end there. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go to our next caller here, and that's Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, go ahead. You're live. You got 38 seconds, please.
Wow. Okay. This is good. I'll go as fast as I can. Thank you, Telvi, Robert, my own countryman, Anthony, Mata, and Alfred Johnson. First time talking to you. But listen, I'm in a little bit unity with the last caller. You see, you asked the question whether they left because of the indictment, right? Well, to me, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And let me go why. First of all, we noticed he had brazen attitudes toward guests and panelists. We saw how Reverend Martin left. He was even abrasive to Dr. Richardson at one of the shows that she even decided got quiet. Okay? The next thing we know that they paused some of the purses and the stipends they were getting. That is another thing that added to the whole thing. Then the indictment itself undermined their credibility. Everybody was posting this, you guys are nothing but crooks, and you want to be accusing other people of stealing. This is what we call sanctimonious behavior. You're pretending. So they wanted to rebrand, but Stanton has a understanding of people and personalities, and he knows how to manipulate it. And let me go on. He is right now in the process of rebranding the show. Look who he has brought on. He brought on Fango. He's brought on Remy Gray. And he's brought on Leo. He's already in the process. They're talking about they want to rebrand. He's already doing it. You see, these large platforms wield a lot of power. They reach a large audience. So this is what even seducing government officials from coming on the show. Now, here's the thing you have to understand about manipulators. There's several tactics they use, okay? One thing they do is they lure you to a location that you're unsafe. So when those government people come on, he starts blasting them. The other thing they use is gaslighting. They use passive aggression. They use criticism and blaming. All these are techniques of manipulators. So lastly, I'll tell you this. The Liberian people dodged the bullet. They dodged the bullet. This platform could have easily been used to launch a political campaign. Easily. It had the audience, it had all the elements that could reach the Liberian people. So the fact that this indictment came, I think we all dodged a bullet.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me go to the next caller. That's Evans Morris. Go ahead, Evans, you're live.
Thank you, Mr. John, and hello to the panelists. Let us not forget, I would say it's 50-50 in terms of Stanton's influence on the platform to get it to where it is, and the four guys. The first caller tried to downplay the importance of those guys. Without those people, Stanton had no way to get in touch with CDC people, with other political stakeholders in our country. So those guys were very useful to me, especially in the infancy of that network. So nobody should downplay the importance in building Swing to what it is today. So the reality is, like everybody said, it was a combination of factors. Those guys left because he was on an indictment. His credibility was ruined, and that was affecting their credibility if they had any, especially if somebody like Ben Sandy. But also, secondly, they already built something that became a giant, and they wanted to continue it, but without the dragnet of Stanton's indictment. And I think on the show today, Mr. Alfred, I think you've done really well with your analysis. I think, especially talking about, Stanton not telling them that was a blessing in disguise for them, because they could have been implemented in this whole situation had they known any significant details about the case or about what he was involved into. So blessing in disguise, if they really didn't know about it, that's good for them. They kept him out of the net. And then lastly, I would just say to the ladies, please show more decorum on the show. This is not one of those Facebook blog gossip shows. Let's be more respectful to the panelists and the viewers. Thank you again for taking my call, Mr. Jack.
Thank you. Let me go to a Philadelphia caller, 267 area code. Your name, please.
Dennis, how are you doing?
Good. Your name, please, and where are you calling from?
Young, I'm telling you. Well, so far, doing extremely well. I want to say thank you to all of them.
What's your name? I didn't get your name.
Yonton.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Yonton.
Yeah. I've not had a chance to speak on this issue as it relates to the appearance of the 4 panelists. But the fundamental question here tonight is very important. When you listen to the testimony of 4 panelists on the focus on Liberia and what they said on Costa Show, you realize that there are discrepancies in terms of the economy. There is a timeline to everything. They started in 2020. Between 2020 to 2023 is 3 years. There has been a constant characterization of the character. He's been arrogant. He's been on his censorship. He does not accept contrary views. And they live with it for 3 years. They live with it every moment. And even one of the panelists on your show said it. That you know Spencer how he behaves and all that. The other one said they jealously protected his leadership style and ability so that it does not get to the public. So why were they jealously protecting him with all of his flaws? So the fundamental question here, to just pose the question of the night, is whether they were leaving to protect their own integrity, or they were seeking a rebrand of the show as an extension of the show's own integrity, or to take over the entire show, because we're hearing in corridors that there were motives. And then you go back to the timeline. Just in the same time that Simpson was indicted, you saw Ben Sylvie in a fabulous picture, very glamorous, with George Weah. And everyone knows it's an open secret. If you want to rebrand, you rebrand something that is of your own, that you have a seat on the table. You are a major decision maker. But from all what we've heard so far, these guys were not decision makers.
Thank you.
They were paying. They were not major stakeholders to the school network. And they even said it, that the school show was different from the school network. So you're not part of the larger network. You just have, participant or a panelist on the show. The last point I would like to make before I leave, and I just give you a few more.
Yes, quickly, please.
It's on this issue. It's on the issue of the salary, right? Making 400 or what are you? I mean, in other corridors, we heard that Timberland was the highest paid, 5,000, and then was making 4,000. Dr. Tiba, the 3,000. For me, it doesn't matter. But if you argue that in the worst of what we faced during the COVID in 2020, someone could have maintained on payroll all through the year of 2020 during COVID. And COVID and business was doing well and booming. Will you argue 3 years later that business is not doing well 3 years later? What does this say? So to me, these guys only show a classic example of breach of loyalty, and they betrayed this man. And everywhere you point to human history, everywhere you point betrayers, there's a sense of tragedy. And only when you have
Thank you, Yonton. We got to take other callers. There are 2-minute callers. All right, let me go to Joseph Conto. Joseph, I've been waiting for 32 minutes.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Jack. Thank you for taking my call. Good evening to all the panelists and my favorite guy, Mr. Anthony C. I don't miss a show.
Right.
But actually, the issue here is that we Liberians, we are in the habit of taking just certain portion of what people say, we run with it, to suit our own narrative. The 4 panelists that resigned from the school network, they didn't decide to resign actually. When they appear on Focus on Liberia, they said they had a meeting with Mr. Stanton Waterspoon. During the meeting, while they were discussing, Stanton hung up the phone on them. Okay? So when he hung up the phone, Ben and other people insisted that they need to go back to that meeting and conclude that meeting. The meeting was never concluded. When Stanton came back on the show and said Ben and Kel Hassan were going to appear on the show on Monday, but for Dr. P. Valley and that of how you call him
Timothy Jones.
There was a scheduling issue, and they are going to appear the following week. Whereas he had already removed them from the chat room and blocked them from the show. So what Stanton was doing was he was communicating, a false information to the public, whereas he had already taken a decision in the back. So based upon that, when he did that, this guy said, okay, but then if we cannot come to a conclusion, and Stanton have already blocked off on the show, and he's telling the people that will be on the show on Monday, it's best for us to go and resign.
Thank you. So make your point quickly.
So the point there is that people talk about betrayal. Betrayal is not just one-sided. No. If I'm loyal to you, and I'm loyal to you, I'm standing by you, equally so you owe me your loyalty as well. Loyalty cannot be one. And that's what we see in the case of Stanton. Stanton have insulted pretty much everybody who have had problems in Liberia, even in the U.S., including the late Dr. Cassette. When his issue came out, Stanton had a whole week to discuss it, but nobody could not talk about his own issue. And the defense that Massa is putting out there that Stanton came on the show and he spoke, no. It was the panelists that forced him to do that. He didn't want to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Control.
They have to push him to do that. So let's get the record straight.
Thank you.
Stanton.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller here. That's Darling Warwood. Darling, you live.
Danny, thank you. So I'm going to speak to three things very quickly.
One.
The rebranding and asking settle to step aside. First of all, these guys were not here with us in this phone group of community. They were not board members. They were not even employees. They were just like hanging out over there with some implied contract, which they got a little bit of token. So I don't know where they're coming from. What gave them the right to ask them to step aside or rebrand the company? I was also the second thing I want to speak to is incompetence. These Kev Hassan, I don't even know if you have a GED. This guy English is bad.
Oh man.
And so many jobs speak that he's down water side. They have no respect for the Queen language, the English language. I don't think it's because of respect. I think they just don't have command over the language because they didn't go to school. There's so many jobs guys. The last work he did that I remember was he worked as a
Darling, let's go to the issue. Let's go to the issue. Forget about the educational level or where they work.
Yeah, so what I'm alluding to is the fact that these are insignificant people who did not claim the social ladder because they work for it. No. The low buyout thing that they came from nowhere. And then the third that we speak to is jealousy and the coup. They feel coup. Because what they did to settle with asking to step aside and to rebrand, that was a coup that I failed.
Thank you.
It came out of jealousy. Settle me was all over the place. People respected him, people hear him, people worship him. And the coup doesn't take place overnight. It's a process. It starts with conspiracy. It starts with jealousy. And all of these things compound to becoming a coup. And this coup, when it failed, what did they do? They ran to social media to post some kind of press statement talking about they resign. How can you resign when you're not even employed? Where is that letter of employment? Who are they employed with?
Thank you.
So I think it was not a betrayal. People, so folks need to watch that back. You need to know who your true friends are. Don't be carried away. You got to watch around yourself and your surroundings.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Let's bring on Dr. Baton Kula for 40 seconds.
No, you're not going to bring me off for 40 seconds.
You see, you
not Bonnie G already.
And I'll turn it over to you. Look, our people don't understand what these people are saying about rebranding. These people didn't want to take Stanton network. They didn't want to take Spoon group of companies. They were part of a show. And then, as you know, as part of that show, you bring people on. You don't hire these people. Most of the time, it's just by word of mouth, gentleman's agreement. You bring these people on. You'll have these shows over time. That's how it's done. Nobody was hired. Nobody was brought on. Stanton was throwing money around like he's been doing, showing you guys his largesse. That's all he was doing. So they came to rebrand the talk show, not the network. They were not trying to take over the man's network. Y'all stop spreading these lies that are being pushed by his family and being pushed by Stanton himself. Okay? When you rebrand something, it's our Nina's fault. Let's fix this thing. Let's stop going after people and let's focus on the politics. Even Ben said it. He said, let's focus more on the politics because we're getting now closer to the election. That's what the rebranding was. Let's take our pictures off so that people don't keep talking about you. That's what it was about. Go there to school right now. His picture is gone. All their pictures are gone. And in fact, they are rebranding because the way, what's her name, Francine Perry's on the show, it's a rebrand. They're not going to go after people anymore, okay? So let's stop all this stuff about, they want to take a show, they have Judas this or that. Like this, we need to stop getting our emotions involving things that talk about critical thinking. What's wrong with us, man?
Thank you. I hope you don't get your emotion involved too. So,
the next thing is this whole thing about Dr. Francine and why she decided to stay on. Okay? The two things that I question Dr. Francine in her whole behavioral science background. When she went to Liberia and she saw how they were being used by McGill and others and we had to sit with them for 4 hours, and Francine never came back and said anything that I expected somebody like her to say. The next thing was when they sent a guy called Rockefeller to Liberia, and I told Francine that Rockefeller is not a pathologist, but she still allowed those women to go ahead with that stuff. Now she's sitting down with a guy who committed education and healthcare fraud, and she's in healthcare and she's in education. So I'm starting to question Francine. But tell me, I respect you from the day. I've never really seen you talk on shows before, but I respect your analytical ability. I respect the young gentleman that is the criminal guy.
Criminal justice.
Your boy, criminal justice. That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
Of course, Ansel Stoney, he's a politician. You, Dennis, you bring the question straight. Robert, you're doing a great job. All the other people, emotions, friends, gossip. That's all I hear.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have to say.
Thank you. Let me bring Mr. Aliyu Kamara.
Yeah, Honorable Gago, how you doing?
To the best of my ability.
How you doing, sir?
People come on this show, so it will call my name. I don't. And I hope you have learned. You're a decent man now. You don't insult female because you are not. I paused you before.
Thank you, Masa.
You call my name.
Thank you. Aliyu, go ahead.
Y'all want to come and talk about Liberian politics. I don't want to respect women who have a voice.
When you're a doctor, talk medical issues. When you're a doctor, you're talking business. You can sound funny sometimes. You're not businessman. Go to Malcolm Bloomberg show and then you say somebody, back up in court, go there and say, we want to rebrand your show and see what he would say. Well, anyways, I have to give her attention. People say, Timberlake was the one that brought Francine to Spoon TV. Timberlake did not bring Francine to Spoon TV. Francine brought herself to Spoon TV, and this is how. There was a day on the show, Francine called on the show and said, this show is dominated by males. It is about time that you guys bring females on the show. And Stanton concurred. He said, yes, since you are right, and he told the guy on the show, live podcast, he said somebody will get in touch with you. So Timothy was sent to get in touch with Francine. It's not that Francine went and hold, Timothy went and hold Francine's hand and brought her to the show. Let us start giving misleading information like that. I want to congratulate Francine for taking a stand that is completely independent of someone's sentiment. Okay? Francine has been put in the back. She didn't retire. She didn't resign. She didn't make any noises. All of them, including all of them. Why all of us sudden not the one Francine to join them not to resign? So Francine is a great woman, and I know she will leave that show, but she will leave that show on her own terms. She's not going to leave that show based on the sentiment of others. And let me just say this before I go. This rebranding issue. No, let the boy Stanton with us did not become a millionaire in the country by being a fool. If Stanton was in a meeting and he hung up the phone in the meeting in everybody's ear, it's because somebody was trying to play him. He's not a fool. But thank you. We'll be watching in the back.
Thank you. Let's go to Annie Kumara, I think. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jeanette. Yeah, I just wanted to say that the whole thing, like everybody, I think most of the callers had already said it. The whole thing about resigning because Stanton did this, Stanton did that. To me, in my opinion, everybody coming here with their emotions and stuff. My opinion, I think it was the wrong time for all of this. Stanton did not. I understand that the people are part of it. If you're like cancel from the link or whatever, and chat line and all those things, you have no way of getting on the show. I understand his point. But the play he went around is to join the rest of the city. He could come make an announcement, oh, we resign. Stanton, allegedly, what he did is very serious. And as we human beings, when we're in trouble like that, he's going through a lot. I can imagine he's going through a lot. He's not thinking straight. Mm-hmm. This is the time that he needs his friends, his so-called friends, like they call themselves, their brothers, their friends, whatever. Like the other caller said, he been doing these things to y'all. He controlling. He don't want all of you. And y'all been there all that time, all this time. And the time where he really needs y'all. He's doing stuff. Some of those things that he probably doing it because he's under stress. He's with his own personal issue with the law, and I'm not trying to excuse him or trying to.
But are you saying he's making irrational decision because he's under stress, or what are you trying to say?
Yeah, and then they bring it like if you already under stress with the issue, and people bringing stuff or like it feels like they're trying to take everything away from you, and everybody's trying to back away from you. He may have said some things in the meeting that just give him time to get over it.
Okay.
Once he came on the show, he says these guys will be on the show because he never said, even though he had some of them in the bag, he removed them from the link. He never said, they're not coming back anymore. And no, they went ahead and made a press statement, we resigned and all of this. And I think it was.
Don't you think he should allow his friends to help him at this time? I think that was part of what they were saying, but he was always coming, and he was not allowing them, from what I'm gathering, for them to help him.
This is what I'm saying, Anthony. He should, but probably part of this at that moment, he's not thinking. But as he go ahead and slip away a couple of days, as they keep talking to him, Anthony, he will come around and something, but you can't just have a meeting where we had a meeting just there, and then the meeting did not end, and then when we got on the show, they talking different. On the phone, he talking differently, and I said, that's the straw. Basically, everybody know from the way from watching the show. I don't know him personally, but from watching the show, I don't see him to be a lawyer person. From what he's done with his party, his political leader, and all of that, he's just not the guy that I see to be. The only person I was surprised at with the whole news was that the Peabody. And after he explained, I will put in the back, then it became clear to me. I said, because from watching the show, he's a laid-back guy. He's really not into all that extra thing that Ben didn't want to be everybody want to run with the big boys. Oh, the person is my friend. The other minister is my business. That's the kind of person he come out to be like to me.
Thank you.
And with all that, I think what they did was, I don't think it was right to come up with a press statement, oh, we resigned and something. This guy already said, oh, these people will be on the show. They'll be like, give him a time.
Thank you.
Get away and give him a time and let him go out something. Because your claim he's your friend. This is not the time that you're about enough friend right now. What he did was wrong. Nobody saying it's right. Oh, you should go pray, do fast and pray for him. No. But if he is really truly your friend, when he eating, no matter bad or good, he's supposed to be there. And if some of his reaction, he has to overlook it, look at the problem he's going through, and overlook the reaction sometimes, and try to support him to and see
thank you.
if he will come around.
Thank you. Let me go to the next caller here, 336. Your name is Satamba.
Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get straight to the point.
Please.
Focus on Liberia need to change their time. You guys need to change the time you come on. Because in Liberia right now, as we speak, everybody is asleep. Nobody in Liberia, only a few people are hanging out, probably listening to this program.
Okay.
And to me, I've been watching Focus on Liberia. You guys have good panelists that come to discuss issues that are very important to the Liberian people. Unfortunately, your timing is a little bit off, for the audience in Liberia. So I think it'll be better, you guys bring your time. You can be competitive. You can be competitive with any other show out there, like Spoon Network, like in this country. Well, CNN not going to say, I'm not going to run my show at 4 o'clock because Fox News is running their show at 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So, get the Liberian the opportunity, to be.
Thank you. We'll rebrand.
We'll rebrand.
I can do that. So, let me come to
yes, please, quickly.
The topic in discussion right now. Those 4 gentlemen that left Spoon Network, Ben, Timberlane, and
Kev,
let them go. Let them go. Like one of the panelists said, you are not hired. How can you resign? Because I just always say, those guys or their contribution to Spoon Network was not, to me personally, was not great. Not at all, because Kev, for example, Kev. What could anybody get from Kev from that show? His view on political issue in Liberia that was very important.
Thank you. Thank you. I think Kev brought a very great deal of crowd to the show. People went there to see what Kev going to say today or tomorrow. So I think Kev was great when it comes to the numbers. But let me take the next caller, please. We don't want to close down very soon. Okay, Tamba, so just conclude in the next 20 seconds. Let's go to Fred Sudan. Fred, is that it?
Hey, thank you, sir. How you doing?
Good. Please, quickly, we don't have time now, so 30 seconds each.
Oh, okay, thank you. Like everybody said, I think the issue of rebranding brought some misfeeling among the finalists. But firstly, I'm a human resource professional. I'm a human resource professional. When you pay people for their service, or even when you hire people to work for your institution, even voluntarily, when people come to your institution to provide service voluntarily, they're being hired, they work by the rules of your institution. When people work under your rules and guidance, they're hired by you. They must live by federal laws and they must be in the premises of both states and federal law in this country. So those guys were hired, whether they were being paid, they were being given stipends, they were being given anything, they were being hired by Spoon. Secondly, they should understand that Spoon Network is proprietary. That's so proprietary.
Right. But does it mean you don't have a voice? You can suggest anything? Is that what you're saying?
I just tell you, when you want a sole proprietorship, there are a whole lot of things when it comes to CEO, meaning the signature talk show that carries his name. So they needed to do a whole lot of different stuff. The rebranding was good, but in this situation, in this time where he rejected those things before, and there are a lot of information out there. They're talking about their own talk show, what they go in their new destination. So I think there was just a whole lot of stuff. For me, I don't personally see it as betrayal. I think they have their right to associate and disassociate at any time. But I think when you leave your former employer going to another employer, I think they needed to go with what they would say about with all the information coming out. They were going to CDC, they're going this way, hanging out with the vice president in Togo. And there are a whole lot of things that was involved.
Thank you.
I think they're leaving. It's not a problem, but they're trying to make it decision right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your call. Let's go to Terite Lion Yakung.
Yes. Hello?
Yeah, quickly, 30 seconds.
Yeah, Mr. Jack, thank you for taking the call. Yeah, this is Terite Lion Yakung, Chairman for Operation for CDC USA North Dakota chapter. Yes. Yeah. What are you guys been discussing the show? From my analysis, I believe that when they went to Liberia, that originating, how they thought of that those guys have compromised or kind of a linger with the government or anybody with the government. So she came back to fight to undermine those guys. And now she succeeded. This is why she refused, why she been undermining them for. That's the reason why she remains on the platform to take over. That's where the whole problem started from. And those guys never betrayed Stanton. Stanton, he's the one that betrayed them. He had an inner deal, and he had those guys around him. Those guys are responsible people with their families, with their children. They came to the U.S. here, and they got involved to propagate the message for Liberians in a better way.
Thank you.
So they have the right to leave the platform if they were, well-being is kind of being threatened directly or indirectly.
Thank you, Teddy. We don't have time. Let me take the next caller.
For Kev is most important on the show, so no one should denigrate Kev.
Thank you. Let's go to Charles Williams. 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, Dennis, thanks for having me.
Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah, Dennis, thanks for having me on the show. Again, my name is Charles Aita Williams. It's good to see Telvi on the show. Robert, Alfred, and the rest of the guys. I just want to. I have a question for the panelists and the general public today. I think a lot of times we make decisions or we get on board organizations not knowing what they stand for. I think the first thing we need to do as individuals or as groups is to identify what an organization stands for before what was the core value of Spencer or Spoon Network. And I think that's where this problem is coming from, whether or not those guys were being paid or not being paid. I thought that they had a responsibility to do that due diligence before jumping on board. And that's my point I wanted to stress tonight. And hopefully we can learn from this experience, make sure we do our due diligence before we become part of any organization.
Thank you. We have one overseas caller here, so let's take that overseas caller quickly.
Go ahead. What's your name and where are you joining us from?
My name is Tia. Calling from Canada.
Okay, go ahead. Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, so I just want to commend everyone that have been talking about this issue. I mean, people are going to say, yes, it was right. People are going to say, no, it wasn't right. But I think professionally, the most sweetest thing to do in any situation like this is just allowing people who you've been working with to go ahead of you, and then you stay in the background while you deal with the issue. But and that has been a debate. But what really I want to call tonight to talk about one is Telvi. I don't know you, I haven't met you, but girl, I enjoyed your analytic power on this show tonight. I really want to commend you. And to my sister Martha, I listened to you the other time. You intend to contest in active politics in Liberia. Girl, if you want to do that, you have to deal with your emotion. You can't get so emotional what they are discussing tonight is not something that has to do with advocacy for women, everything women, everything women. When women, we advocate for women, that's true, but when women are doing things that are not right, we also supposed to be able to say it. So deal with your attitude if you really want to get in Liberian politics as a woman, because they will cut your mouth, they will tell you Hobojo, they will tell you all kind of things. If you can easily get this agitated just from a common argument, then you are not going to go anywhere. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Two more callers here, Patrick Johnson and Cecil Frank. Patrick, 30 seconds, quickly, please.
Yes, wrap this thing up. We gotta sleep.
Yeah. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Job, for giving me the opportunity. I've been following the show, and I think what I'm noticing the whole issue from your platform to the Costa platform. I've been following these guys. I think I just noticed three different things. One, they got onto the Spoon Show with no question because it was a lot of money involved at the beginning. So the way they are right to ask, and they never ask. Then another issue when the CEO told them, hey guys, this money payment will not continue. I believe at that point they were disappointed and they had no further say to go further because at that time he had covered the trip to Liberia, so they felt like they owe him. So it was something that the guy got saying and couldn't get out. And lastly, my last point has to do with when he finally got all of them off the platform and he went on the air and he made that pronouncement that at that point they were not on. So there was no way for them to go and buttress what he was saying or to argue or to say something. Because at that point, nobody had no direct access to the platform. So to have Ben came back and he had the other three guys together and say, like you John's statement. So I think at the end of the day, both parties did no good to themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Last caller here is Cecil Frank. 30 seconds, Cecil.
Okay, good evening to the host and the panelists. Now, we have been listening to what the causes and that may have triggered the termination of these former panelists of the association with Spoon. But there are several issues that remain unclear for us, the viewing public. The first thing here is we have not gotten full information on the substance of the request to rebrand Spoon Show. Nobody knows that. What did these panelists have in mind when they made that request? And the second thing is why was Centum pushing back on rebranding? Was it a rebranding that would have weakened his authority over the platform, or did it have to do with, as Fagon has said, the demand by these panelists that he be removed from the platform as part of the rebrand, where they're supposed to change some things, remove Fagon or other things. These are things I want to have very clear from both sides, which unfortunately the interview that was conducted by Dennis and Anthony did not clear up for us. And so that will go to the core of the key issue as to why these guys left the show. They did not resign. They terminated the association with the show. That's the precise word they used. So if these things were clearer, it would be helpful to the general viewing public in order for them to draw a proper conclusion on what actually has taken place.
Thank you. That's the end of callers. We'll go to our panelists now for their closing comments. And as you close, I want you to include few things, right? In your closing comment, we want you to say about the future of the Spoon Talk show, what you think of it, and then the ex-panelists. They said they're going to open their own platform up to the elections. They said they did. The results are announced. They're going to close down. So let's end with that. As to, when you look in your crystal ball, what you make of that decision to have their own platform, and what you see as, where we go from here, even with the Spoon Talk. Is it rebranded now? It's going to be vibrant, bigger, and better. What do you make of it? Let's start with Tavina with your closing comments.
I'll tell you, I'm already sleepy.
Yeah.
So to close, what are my thoughts on the outlook or Spoon? I mean, they're doing something like rebranding. I don't think they're rebranding, because you have to see the kind of people they're bringing as a method of rebranding. Rebranding, we can throw the words all around, but it involves a comprehensive strategy. A lot of things need to play. You bring up Falcon, who is disgruntled, who is not. Even for Liberia, when he was press assistant, whatever his title, and I don't care to where he can make a show. Guess what? I don't care. My kids don't care either. But talking about professional, look at the way the man talk, and then you bring him in to take on the moment to be a co-panelist or to be a co-host. It's almost like you let out some Jersey bull out there. So is that the way you're gonna rebrand? You got integrity to take care of. You got trust to build. You got your customer base to build and rebuild all of that. So I don't know. They brought people. I see people all there. And some gentlemen that I know around. I would tell them for sure. Under normal circumstances, they would not be on Spoon TV. Canton would never have brought it on the platform. Never. Someone they have gone through, panelists that are going through me to be on that show, to get them to even come for a day or just a little showcase. But once you on Spoon, then you want the biggest, the greatest. Stanton denied it. They won't be there. But so be it. They're there now. They're time to shine. But be careful that I don't know how long they're going to last, because by the time Stanton get charged and have time to go to jail or whatever sentencing
or acquitted.
He's not going to get acquitted. I saying that he's not going to get acquitted. He will not get acquitted. This is America. I read his charges. I worked for state government for almost 10 years, 3 different ones. He's not going to get acquitted with those charges. At minimum, he's going to get a few years or something because of Glock Cock and blessed in his generosity, which is fair. But he's not going to get acquitted. Nobody will fool. No praying man, no mullet man, no soothsayer will fool him. He will have his time. But as soon as that gavel goes down, or when it's like, guess what? Liberia government will come for him. I'm predicting that. You know why? Because Liberia government already in trouble with America, and they won't prove to America that they can fight fraud. They don't support crime. They don't stand for what they call. They won't make themselves look good at election time. You think they'll come let station slide? So soon and pretty soon, if a station will go down, the whole business in Liberia will go down. I foresee that. So that's to do that. As far as what the next question. What's the next question?
Their future.
Oh, the future of the gentlemen. So I think I'm gonna talk about it in my opening. About they talk about they'll be going soon to open their own stuff and things like that. In my based on my assessment or just my personal opinion, I think it's too premature. I think it's almost like a woman or a woman leave an abusive marriage or whatever it is. Next week, yes, she's married. Somebody be like, oh, but you already cheated your husband before you left. Nobody gonna buy your story. So I don't think that's the best way to go. I think the best thing to do is to just, I say go from platform to platform, put it like brain English, go from platform to explaining. I think they have done enough explaining. Being on 3 talk show just to explain, especially on Focus Liberia. Anybody can listen to that and take what they want to take. People will take sides regardless. But I think it's explaining is just enough now. No more explaining about this. Leave it as it is. But go from, just serenade on platform talking about issues. If they're talking about budget and you think you can add value to it, go there. But just do that for 6 to 9 months or maybe 6 months to a year. They already said by election time they're going to pack their bags. So why start a new platform now? Why reinvent the wheels? Just collaborate with other platforms. Go on there and still be adding value. I do the same thing. I go on different platforms. If I see that's something that's interesting to me, I don't want to talk about gender issue. You bring fraud, I dare. If I feel good, I talk about nursing. If I don't feel good, I talk about other. It depends. So
what's about fries and G's?
G's and fries and all I dare. Depends what time of the day.
Thank you, Tavina.
Well, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Alfred.
Well, the feature of Spoon TV and the X-Panel, they're having their own platform. Well, I think Spoon TV will continue. It seems like Stanton is a very adamant gentleman, so I think he would get it. I don't think you would have a shortage of panelists. There will always be people who want to flex their intellectual muscles as far as providing their opinions on issues affecting Liberia is concerned. Uh, when it comes to the other the ex-panelists, Ben, Mr. Sanvi, Mr. Hassan, Dr. Peabody, and Mr. George, I don't know. They said they're going to have their own show. I take them by their word. I mean, there's always an opportunity. They've already gained some level of popularity and fame. Ben already had some level Ben had a sizable level of recognition. Spoon gave Kev, Dr. Peabody, and uh, Mr. George some level of relevance. So with that, they come together. They have a show. I think it's going to be a success. It may not garner the level of excitement that their appearance on Spoon TV did, but I'm sure that it's going to start at a much higher level than normal shows. And I think they're going to do better, and hopefully they can continue beyond the elections. But I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Seed, Ms. Dopo. What's your last name, ma'am?
Tavinako?
Salvina Cole.
Miss Cole,
Miss
my man Rob and Jab, my namesake. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show, and I'm always available as time can permit to discuss issues affecting Liberia.
Thank you. Masa?
Thank you, Denise. I don't want to call you Denise. My first name. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Anthony, Stephanie, Taffy, Alfred, Robert. Thanks to all of you for being here to discuss issues that are less important, but just
We're having some
just
trouble.
to say, what's the question? Okay, starting their own platform. I think this was my initial concern when the guys were kicked out of Spoon Network. I expected them honestly to just go on their individual page to just talk to their audience or talk to people why they left or why they were with disassociate themselves, and then just kind of group together. This is Facebook. I mean, it's free. The life we do here is free. As long as you have something to share, you have people watching you. So I don't see any reason why they should be going from platform to platform. Like somebody said, they focus on Liberia platform that night. It was just enough because I feel like right now they have gone to 3 platforms, and I just saw another message. They're going to another one again. And every time you move from place to place, your position changes, your statement changes, and that's not what they want. And because now you make yourself to be the blatant liar that you are afraid to be. So I think they should just put stop to whatever talk show that they have playing. Put yourself together. Yeah, you can open your own show. They are good men. They have muff. They have other issues that they want to express. They have to contribute to. Put yourself together. Open your own show on Facebook. You have people watching you. I mean, today, if Prophet Key can have like 2,000 people, or the other talk show people having thousands of people watching their live, what about those men who have something impactful to tell us? So I think they can do that. They are free to do that. And with the issue of the Spoon Network, I think is right now I can't tell because, like I said, I'm now a follower of the show. I had my one-time issue with Stanton, and I left. I never followed that show until somebody asked me, "Oh, did you see what was said on the show today?" And I said, "No, I don't follow Spoon Network, or I just go and watch the watch the show, and that's it." But I think with Dr. Richardson being in charge and knowing who she is, I think she will be able to move the network to a better stage where everybody will have the opportunity to give their opinions. They will have the opportunity. She will not be the Stanton who will be insulting people, who will not give people the opportunity to talk and just being disrespectful. I've worked with her. I know she's somebody who is very respectful. We have had our disagreements on issues so many times. She never one day insulted me or anybody that was part of that disagreement. So I know she has a great leadership skill and she will be able to apply it over there. So
Thank
I
you.
wish both sides the best. We came here tonight just to discuss, give our unsolicited opinions. So everything said here tonight is not personal, and that's what debate is about. People debate, they go at each other, and at the end of the day, they laugh. And to be honest with you, I don't even take Facebook serious. When I close my
Thank you.
computer, I close it. When somebody meets me out and say, "Hey, Masa, you that will always causing trouble on Facebook," I say, "No, that's not me." Because I won't even discuss Liberian politics when I meet people outside, except when I'm invited to do it. So nothing is personal, guys. This was a great learning opportunity. We all needed to express our feelings, how we
Yes.
feel, because everybody said, "You guys, they are public videos." So yeah, we the unsolicited opinionated people, we need to give our own feedback about things. So yeah, and I still maintain that they are betrayers. You do not betray your friend in their storms. You sit there with them. You encourage them. You be that supportive network. Be their support
Thank you.
system. And I felt like they did not do that to Stanton. And Stanton is not. I'm not a fan of him, but those guys did not treat him right.
Thank you. And just to announce that we've invited Dr. Richardson, also invited Mr. Eugene Lamin Fagon, and we are waiting for their responses. Dr. Richardson has not responded. She got the message, I believe. Eugene Fagon said he's going to get back to us shortly. It's been a day now, but we're very patient. Robert, you're closing, sir.
Look, I just want to say to the last point that Masa made. Look, I think that people can make professional decisions which can be separated from friendship. I think that these guys made a professional decision. I don't want us to miss the premise in which they left to the fact that they are enemies with Stanton. From all indications, they've continued to pray for him. They've mentioned that. They continue to wish him best of luck.
Don't start new lecture. Let's go to your closing.
They have, well, I'm not closing down in one second, but they have that people can make professional decisions without when separating the friendship. And I can confirm to you that in as much as the demands for these guys to appear on multiple platforms are extremely high, they are not appearing in any other platform, at least not for now. I can confirm that to you. So whatever information you got out there that they're appearing on a platform, no. The people have been asking, they are not appearing on any platform myself. Okay. But let me say this. Let me say this in my closing. I think some of the callers talk about popularity and relevance, and I think my brother Alfred mentioned that. I think popularity cuts across, right? Because people like Ben Senvi has been a household name in the Liberian politics for a long time. I don't think Spohn giving any relevance and whatever. If anything, he brought his political connection to the platform. Kev in his own way, brought something significant to the platform. So did Timberland George and Peabody. But with regards to where Spohn goes from here, look, I think that Spohn will continue. Are they rebranding right now? There are lots of questions, strategic questions that surrounds rebranding and what that actually means. And I don't think having guest panelists on the show is a reflection of rebranding. I don't think this is what these guys were trying to drive at. But the show will continue. I'm not sure what will happen. This case and where this case ends will have a lot to do with how far this show goes. And with regards to these guys, look, I think that they're going to move on. I think that they'll move on. And look, there's nothing wrong with if they decide to have their own show. There's nothing wrong with that. They can have their own show and compete with Focus on Liberia and compete with Spohn Network and compete with other network in Liberia that are discussing politics and issues surrounding Liberia. There's nothing wrong with it. At the end of the day, I think this noise will settle. They will have that time to speak further on this issue, but they'll move on, and Spoon will move on. One last point I want to make, though: people have to understand these guys would not have been on Focus on Liberia and other platforms if there were not lies all over the place. And I think the lies and the misconception that came from those on the other side, less than 24 hours after that press release went out, really pushed them to say, look, we have to go out there and give clarity to all of these misconceptions and lies. And I think that's what pushed them to go out there. And they've moved the needle. They discussed some things, that answered some questions relative to this internal disagreement. But I think they've been very kind. I think they've been very generous. And I think they've been very careful to not discuss the merits and demerits about Stanton's case and the detail surrounding all of what has happened with that Spoon. There are a whole lot that we don't know. There are a whole lot the public will never know. And if these guys intended to bash Stanton and go to war with that platform, and people, we will be seeing documents circulating on social media, and there will be many, many stories surrounding this. So let's be respectful to their opinions and how far they've gone to really clear the air and put clarity to where it was needed. Look, Dennis, thank you. Anthony, Tavina Cole, it's always great having you. I like your fire Masa, and my dear brother Alfred. I don't like to disagree with Alfred. I really don't like to disagree with Alfred. But today I had to come disagree with him. Well, my brother, respect my brother.
Thank you. This Saturday we're going to be doing FOL Marketplace. What's in the 2023 national budget, and what can we learn from the budget hearing? That's every Saturday at 3 p.m. we have our FOL Marketplace. That's when we discuss business, finance, economics, and everything in between. Every Friday is our literary hour. Every Saturday is the Liberia History Channel. And every Tuesday, Avi Talos Healthy Living Plus More. Anthony, let's close.
And journalists, don't forget my political show, the LPP's option to elect Councilor Tiawan Gonglo, next Tuesday with me, Anthony C. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You do not want to make it, folks. At this time, we will come to the end of this program. Between the headlines and the song that closes the broadcast says, we are all Liberians. Whatever you stand on this issue, one thing we can agree on, we are all Liberians, and that song is bye-bye. We were rebranding.
Well, rebranding. I need my money. I need my pay.
And bye-bye.
Bye.
We are Liberians.